All right, well, let's start episode 131 here. We're going to kick things off with some new games that have come out and new shows that have come out this week that are worth some discussion, some time on, and then we'll jump over to some headlines. Special thanks to Jeff and Kyle for throwing some headlines in there for us to discuss. And then other things we're playing, other things we're watching, even if it's stuff we've talked about before, we can circle back to things maybe you're playing more of and want to add impressions or thoughts to, or things you're watching. And then we're going to wrap it up this week, kind of go Game Scoop style, a show that I still listen to pretty regularly and like from IGN. We're going to close things out with a game, and we'll close it out with a Kahoot game. It's a Kahoot game it's very silly. Like some of them have been a little more like themed and stuff. This one's a little dumb, but it's one of those ideas that popped up in June. I kept it on the back burner, and I was like, you know what? Some of these take a lot of effort. This one did not take nearly as much effort, and so it's a silly one. But we'll get to that at the end. But let's start with stuff that's come out this week. We've had a few major game releases. The Last of Us Part 1. It's not Last of Us Remaster. I worded it that way at one point, and someone corrected me. Like, that already came out. Like, all right, you're right. It's true. The Last of Us Remaster did come out. So this is The Last of Us Part 1. Okay.
And we're mad about it.
So that's out. I actually have played a little bit of that, so I'll talk about that. That's thanks to Derek, who's not here at the moment. He might join us later, depending on when he gets back this evening. Also, Tinykin dropped on all platforms, more specifically Game Pass, so we'll talk about that. Immortality, the Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. And then I know sometimes we spend more time than other episodes. It really just depends on what's come out on what we've watched, TV or movies. Like, it depends on what's going on in the culture. But man, I think one of the biggest landmark shows for a while is this new Lord of the Rings show. We got to talk about it. It's just been so long in the making. It's been talked about for a long time, and I want to talk about our impressions without, of course, we'll keep it spoiler free because we're not doing a spoiler cast on it or anything. We're just going to chat about our impressions of the first couple episodes of Lord of the Rings for those of us who watched it. So we'll get into all that stuff. Let's start out with Immortality. So this is a game.
Oh, good. The one we can say the least about. That's good.
Yeah. So this is a game. We can move through it quickly. So this is a game that uses real like footage. So it's like actual human beings on the screen. It kind of takes me back to old like Wing Commander days when like PC games would have like a cutscene of real actors. I remember even Mark Hamill did, I think, Wing Commander. Anyway, so like you'll have real actors on the screen doing scenes. So it kind of reminds me of that. But this is I gotta be honest with you. I only played about 30 minutes of this game. I'm not saying I'm not gonna play any more of it. I'm just gonna jump right into it. The game starts with you trying to figure out what happened to somebody or something. I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to figure out, but you're trying to cut through all these different film strips, it looks like. And you can kind of fast forward, rewind, speed up or slow down through scenes. You can pause it and zoom in on the images, and then it can jump to another scene that this actress is in or an interview that she's in a different time period. And I think I did maybe 5 or 6 of these things. I kind of jumped to another one and scrubbed through it a bit. And then I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't think I want to do this anymore. So, but this game is getting crazy reviews. I think folks who stick with it and really just dedicate, like, I'm going to focus on this and really figure this out. I think folks who really focus on it get a lot out of it. I was not really wanting to play this. I just wanted to try it out so we could talk about it. I really wanted to jump back to Spider-Man. I just hit that big kind of beginning of Act 3 moment in Spider-Man. If you guys remember the game, there's a big moment where the whole kind of city changes. So I had just hit that moment, and I really wanted to dive back into that. And I tried this. So it was a bad time. It was unfair to that game for me to dive into that at the moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Immortality, it's a very, very, very unique experience. It's just not for me at the moment. Anybody else try it out?
Yes. Yeah, I tried it. Sam Barlow makes these types of games. He did this with Her Story and with that other damn game that came out after. I don't remember the other one. Oh, man. But he's done 3 games total so far that are like this. And Her Story was kind of the same thing where you're watching interview segments out of order. Telling Lies is the other one. And you're kind of watching just footage out of order. And the other ones are more like using some old interface to link the footage to each other in a timeline.
Okay.
And figure out what is happening with these characters.
I never did play Her Story.
Yeah. This one is way more obscure and like way more, I guess abstract would be the right word, in how you link the footage to each other. Because you basically are like watching the video and then you can pause at any point, and then like if the icon on your mouse changes, I do recommend keyboard and mouse for this if you are going to play it, by the way. It is on Game Pass. I don't think we mentioned that. It's Game Pass PC.
It is Game Pass.
Perfect for that. You can like pause any frame, and like if your mouse icon changes to an eye, you can click on it, and
I didn't know that.
it selects the thing that you zoomed in on, and it cuts to another piece of footage with that thing in it.
Okay.
Which is super interesting. But it's like so obscure, the storytelling, that you kind of have to. It's on the gamer to kind of piece together what's going on. And you're kind of like a film archivist, whatever.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, you do have the ability to like kind of tie the footage that you have found so far into a whatever you call it, whatever, in a timeline, in a chronological timeline. But that's, again, this game feels like homework for those of us that just kind of want on a simple gaming experience. This game it's a little too demanding for my brain right now. So I'm kind of done. I did the same thing, half an hour, and I was like,
but it's very interesting, and I can see that with the reviews that it's gotten, people who really focus on this, whether it's because they had to, they were assigned to do it, or they want to, like, they seem to be getting a lot out of it and really appreciating it. And so it's okay if it's not for me. It's
an interesting story too. I mean, just from what I read about it, where it's about this actress that was in 3 movies. She was like a James Dean, who was in 3 movies.
Is that real? Was this like a real actress?
No, this is not real.
I didn't think so.
He wrote all of this. The guy who made the game wrote all of this and had actors play it out. But this is like, she was in 3 movies and she was destined to be a big star, and then she disappeared. Okay. So that's what the footage is like raw footage from those movies and her talk show appearances. And they even occur over several decades. And you're like, how's that possible? She doesn't look like she's aging. Hence the title of the game. So like there's something there. There's something like sci-fi or fantasy going on that.
I bet you it's really interesting. So
yeah, it's probably super fascinating.
Yeah,
she's a vampire.
Maybe in October. Nothing's coming out second half of October. Maybe I'll play it. Yeah, that's when I'll dive in. October 21st is when I'll play this. All right, so The Last of Us Part 1 has released on the PlayStation 5, and yes, this is a full price game, and I did not pay for it. Derek bought it, and we do game sharing on our PlayStation consoles because
love the transparency. Love it.
Yeah. So I did not spend full price on this, but I did play it for about an hour, maybe hour and 10 minutes, something like that today. I wanted to get up to the point where, I guess, mild spoilers, but like you basically
just snooze of a first hour, right?
It's a total snoozer, yeah.
Real sleep.
I kept
at the
checking
wheel
my
phone,
like, oh boy, this again.
Yeah, right. Here we go again.
I was actually very captivated. I played up to the point where you meet up with Ellie and start escorting her to where she needs to go. So that's where
now you kind of have to sneak around. Yeah.
So I wanted to get through some of the combat areas at the beginning when you're going after this guy named Robert, and I just wanted to do some of those elements and kind of see how does the game look and feel with all the improvements and changes. And I'm gonna be as objective as I can with this. This game, it looks stunning. Like, it looks like a brand new next gen. Like, it's unreal. Like, it was already a pretty game. Last of Us Part 2, of course, one of the best looking games I'd ever seen. And this takes that even to the next level, or at least on par with that. At the very least, on par with that. It looks amazing. I guess you guys who have these incredible TV screens, it's probably going to blow your minds when you play it, just as far as how it looks.
Lots of blacks in that, like
so
black colors in that game, and
like,
Jeff and I's TV can really accentuate these colors.
After that initial time jump, and you and Tess start walking through the city to just initially go out to find this Robert guy. You're just walking. You can't do anything yet. Right. Even just the contrast of the shadows and the lighting of that dark, really gritty city, I could see the differences. I was like, man, this looks great. This looks really good. So I want to be really honest and say that the visual upgrades are great. And then as soon as I started playing, I was like, oh yeah, this is Last of Us. Like, it's not bad at all. It's still fun to play. But like, if you've had an issue with the way the first game played, like, this plays pretty much exactly like the first game plays. Some improvements, like the enemies are smarter. Like, they take different, like, they don't always. There's a way that they would approach you in the original version of the game, or at least in the remastered version, that made it very easy once you kind of got into the rhythm of like, oh, here's how to get their attention and then quietly kill them. They seem a little smarter. There's a little bit of AI tweaks I've heard about they made. I noticed that it was a little bit smarter there at the beginning, but also the animations, like when you get a headshot, stuff like that, like, everything's improved. It all looks better. It all just performs better. It looks better. It's great. So I want to say all that out of the gate before I say I would not spend full price on this. That's because I've played it. I played it through all the way through twice.
Yeah.
I love this game. I think I already thought it was really pretty. Now it's even prettier. I would not spend full price on this game. Now, if this game came out at $40, I probably would have bought it day one without even blinking.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I would have something to say about it if it were $40. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if it were 50, I might have actually given it a thought. I might have jumped at 50, maybe, but like definitely 40. It would have been like, I'm gonna grab
40. That's the line for me. If it were 50, I'd be like, well, apparently I'm into Tinykin, so
yeah.
I'm a little busy, you know.
So I think if you've got the TV, like the screen and the sound system to really show this thing off, this is a fantastic showpiece for your PlayStation 5. It's absolutely excellent, top of the line. And I mean, if you haven't played this game for whatever reason, of course, this is a dumb thing to even say. Of course, this is the new definitive way to play this. Of course.
I feel like they had a missed opportunity releasing this alongside the show. So as people got into the show, there was the game waiting for them either during or right after it came out.
When does the show start?
So I'm wondering if that's like. Okay. I wonder if that's maybe part of it. Let's maybe get more people to play it so they're more excited about the show, or maybe they're completely separate. I don't know. Maybe they're completely separate.
I'm predicting a spring release for it because I think they did wrap production on it. But
like
March, I think they did.
March or
a few weeks ago.
Yeah, they need a spring release, and HBO does.
They could sneak one out before.
And that would have allowed them maybe some time to reassess the combat if they would have waited.
Yeah, that's kind of my point, so now you're adding 6 to 8 more months onto the development cycle. Like maybe you could have done a little more, but like also I'm with Tim. Like maybe this is for the people who have never played it before, and now there's the best version ever, like right here for those people.
And maybe they're holding multiplayer for the show to release with the show.
Yeah, that's right, because multiplayer never came out yet, so maybe we get the multiplayer for Last of Us 2.
Pretty dead set on really actually making it a thing.
One.
Like
right. A separate thing, I mean, we've been waiting a while, so.
It's very detailed. The expressions, especially, of course, in the infamous opening sequences, it sells it even more.
Oh man.
Even Tommy looking over his shoulder as he's driving, like little things like that are just like this just looks better.
Which wouldn't remind me of stuff like that, man.
Sorry, man. My bad.
Could you tell if was the audio the exact same? Was it lifted? Like, did it seem remastered? Did it seem I know it's a weird question and probably something you can't really remember exactly, but did it seem like it was the same audio?
It didn't stand out. It didn't stand out to me one way or the other.
Okay.
It sounded nice. I actually just recently got not a high tech one, but a new sound bar with like a little subwoofer under our TV. So it did sound like everything was kind of booming for me when I played it today. More than my TV normally does, because I just had a cheap sound bar before. So to me it sounded better, but that's unfair because I just got a new little setup. No.
What brand is it, Tim? I'm curious.
Samsung.
Okay. I was gonna say because I've had TCL for a while.
Yeah, Samsung.
I had a TCL before I switched to the rich people TV.
Okay. Well, excuse me.
So as far as like, do I recommend this? I think if you don't own this game, even if you've played this game, but maybe you don't currently own it, I think it's a great purchase. It's totally worth adding to your library. You should own it somewhere. This is the best place now to own it.
If you don't own it, period. Yeah.
If you already own it, I think it's a good hey, let's wait till it's at least on sale, if not on PS Plus.
So can I just throw out there? I'm curious what you guys think. So, and you even just said so a second ago, kind of mentioning the price. I think it's from like an actual official, like from a website that hires and pays people to write reviews. I think it's really, personally, in my opinion, irresponsible for it to even affect the review score and be something specifically mentioned in an official review about the price. I think that's nonsense. Like, it's like, and obviously people who get reviews, because obviously there's a lot of people on the internet that like just don't get it. It's like, well, it's an opinion thing. It is based out of opinion. But like, to me, that shouldn't be like something that you're putting in a review with the score being like, well, this is a detriment.
Are reviews doing that, or are you seeing a?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't peeked into any reviews. Yeah. So that's surprising.
I know it's at an 89. This version is specifically at an 89 on Metacritic, which, if you follow Metacritic at all, that's a pretty phenomenal score for it.
Yes.
So it's getting.
I agree. Category. Adding price in. Maybe you're reviewing a product, so it should. There's sort of that's hard,
I,
man.
I
Yeah,
think
what
I think when
yeah,
it's like this and we're having a conversation and it's not like an official like we're getting paid to do
Yeah.
this, it's just kind of like, well, that's how I feel about that.
Well, when I'll just talk for myself. When I tune into a review or read a review or watch a review, I'm never care what. I don't need them to tell me what is it worth the price. I just need you
Right.
to tell me if the game's good.
Right.
So like
The pros and cons
for me,
of the game.
and whenever I write a review, I never bring up the price or anything like
Right.
that. You know, like that's not like I'm never comparing price to quality or length to price or
Mhm.
any of
Yeah.
those bridges that a lot of people seem to connect. You know, when it comes to like buying a product, which I understand why people do that. I
Yeah.
don't do that.
I think
so,
if
yeah,
you
I
were
don't
right
know,
to write a
that's a
review on
bizarre
this and
one.
put like some kind of disclaimer or maybe like an editor's note or something to say, our recommendation is that if you already own this somewhere, it
Yep.
might not be worth full price to you, but we're going to review this straightforward as just the overall experience of the game. So we're not going to review it according to that, but just so you know, like if you already own it, it might not be worth full price to you. Like I think that's okay to say personally. I think that's fine to say.
At
Like,
the top of the reviews saying something like we're reviewing this game like it's the first time
But you
someone's
can't-
played it. You know
I
what
agree with you,
mean?
Dan.
I
You
think
shouldn't put it as a
yeah.
negative. Like if you have the
Right.
pluses and minuses to sum up
Yeah.
my review, and a minus is
Right.
It
at
actually
$70, it's like
affects
no.
the score. Like, and that's the thing.
Yeah, that
and
seems weird to me.
and it feeds into like my cynicism of the internet of like you're just validating all of these assholes on the internet. They look, see, look,
Yeah.
look, the
Yeah,
score
yeah,
is
yeah.
less because
Screen grab that
Yeah,
one
exactly.
line
Yeah,
of
exactly.
dialogue.
Too much
It's-
water.
It's like you're
Um,
just feeding it too much fun.
Yeah.
You're just feeding into
So
that.
I just wanted to. I'm trying to stay as objective as I can on it. I think this is a gorgeous. It's the best version of an already masterpiece of a game. So because I think the first Last of Us is just amazing. I love that game.
I
Like
think it's
as I
pretty
was
all right, Tim. Yeah. No,
as I was
it's
playing it,
one of
I
the
was
greats.
already like thinking of, oh yeah, this scene. Oh yeah, I forgot to go to this area. Maybe I do want to see that part again. Like it's just such a great experience, start to finish.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And so like this is a new prettiest way to play a fantastic game of this past decade. So
Awesome.
so I'll leave it at that. I do think it's worth your time and money if you haven't played it before or if you don't currently own it. And if you do, and you're a mega fan, get it. Like if you're a mega fan who plays this game like once a year, get it. Why not? Like get the better
Or
version.
you know, or if you're a pony, just get it. Just
Or
suck
if
it
you're
up.
a pony. But if you're
Yeah.
the
What was that?
kind of person who just likes to like have the new stuff, but you might not play it, wait, because this will go on sale.
Yeah.
Like this will
Like
definitely go on
soon.
This
Like,
is
if you
destined
wait-
to be
if
a
you wait
holiday
till-
sale purchase.
Like this
for
is
me.
black. This is a
Yeah.
Black Friday $40 to $50 game all day.
Yes.
So
Yes. So if you're like, I just want to get it in my library so I can get to it, like great, then just hang on. It's going to be available still. And for some reason, if it doesn't drop price for some dumb reason, you can buy it when you're ready to play it. But anyway.
Mhm.
All right. So the other one I want to talk about, Jeff actually already mentioned it, is Tinykin, one of those kind of out of nowhere games that I remember seeing listed in the coming to Game Pass kind of announcements, but
That's the
overlooked.
only place I've seen it. I've never seen it on like
Yeah, I overlooked it, but then when I saw
Gamescom
it
or
pop up,
anything.
I saw it pop up on my Game Pass thing, and I just hit install. I was like, all right, I'll try it. Why not? Let's talk
Yeah.
about this new game that came out. So I played it a little bit, but I talked a bunch. Jeff, why don't you tell us what you think about Tinykin? I think you're maybe farther than me.
Yes, I'm in the last level. I'm like 5.5 hours in. Literally, I installed it
You've
at
been
2
playing
p.m.
it all day.
I installed it at 2 p.m. and haven't put it down. I only took a break to eat.
I can just imagine right now if Derek was here, the scoffs and the face he'd be making, just all of that. So
Well, for the
He'd be
listener,
asleep. I'm not
especially, they
worried
can't.
about it. He'd be
The
asleep.
listener who can't see your background is from Tinykin. But how would you
Yeah.
describe this game to somebody?
That's the art style, basically. Boom. But yeah, you mentioned some of the comparisons already in chat, comparing it to It Takes Two in regards to all of the maps that you're playing are basically take place in a house, but you're tiny.
Yes.
That's the It Takes Two element of it, where like you're in a bedroom, you're in a kitchen, bathroom, whatever, but you're small, so it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids type thing, and it's a platformer in the same sense that It Takes Two was. Obviously, it's not multiplayer though, so it's just one person going around and whatever. But the main mechanic of it is the Tinykin are these small, kind of like pets, kind of like Kana, kind of like these little things that follow you around.
Yeah.
But each level introduces like a different colored one, and the color corresponds with a different function.
Like
I was
So,
gonna
like-
say Pikmin.
like the
I was
rock
gonna say this sounds more like Pikmin.
Pikmin, but it's actually more like kind of
Pikmin's
in the way you
close, yeah.
control them.
Oh, okay, got
Yeah.
it.
Gotcha. I've never touched Pikmin.
It is kind of like Pikmin.
Because they
is
have
a
the
good
different
comparison.
colored ones that do various things, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
this
Yep.
one starts with these Tinykin companions that are more like the Kana ones that just lift stuff for you and move them. And then you get ones that explode, which are expendable each time you use them. So you got to collect more. You got to go run around a map and find more. And then there's a yellow one that builds a bridge for you. And you kind of do have to be economical with those. Like once you finish a bridge, you have to collect them and then maybe go build a bridge somewhere else because you have a finite number of them. And then there's the blue ones that hold an electrical charge, so you can like you basically you have an outlet somewhere in the map, and then somewhere that the outlet charge needs to go to, and you'll lay down those blue ones on the map, like, and it'll carry that current through the outlet to wherever that charge needs to go. I think those are like the main ones. I think those are all of them. I mean, the game's short; it's like 6-hour game. So
I haven't got the blue ones yet, but I got the other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so the blue ones I think come before the bridge ones.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, the bridge ones I think is like level 5.
Maybe I got the blue ones then. I didn't get. There's one. I only got 3 so far. But yeah.
Gotcha. And then there's the green ones though. The green ones are the ones that lift you up. Those are the ones that you just wherever you're standing, you mash the right trigger and it just boop, 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 boop. It launches you up a little bit and it becomes like a rope that you can climb, and it helps you platform to higher locations.
By the way, these ones they like you and they want you to like throw them around. So they're all excited.
Yeah.
Like the way they animate them and like add sound effects, even the ones that explode, like they're pumped up to be tossed and to blow up.
Right. Yeah, it's very kid friendly in that regard. There's nothing like. Actually, there's actually some stuff that if you go around, you can interact with all of these insects and stuff that are around the house. You can talk with them, and there's like very interesting, weird politically, not politically charged, but like there's weird politics going on and stuff. Like there's one map where you go in and like some of the insects are revolting because they're not getting food, and it becomes like a socialist thing, and like I'm like, whoa, like what is this doing in this game? But there's some funny jokes too if you're willing to put in the time to read some of the dialogue that they wrote for some of the NPCs. But a
lot of secrets, like a lot of
like,
people behind these books.
If you have like OCD tendencies and completionist tendencies with gaming like I do, this game, that's why you won't want to put it down. Because you'll just be like, oh, what's that over there? Let me go collect that. Like you'll just want to clear the entire map, and you have a hover ability too, where you jump and you hold A and it allows you to hover. And if you collect current, I think it's pollen, but that's like your in-game currency. And if you collect a certain amount of pollen, then you gain more life when you're hovering in the air. So like that'll allow you to travel longer distances. Like you'll just. Basically, if I'm high up and I see somewhere I haven't gone yet, I can just now I'm like I have like 6. It's basically soap bubbles, I think, that allows you to hover. I have like 6 or 5 of those, so I can just like hover all day around the map and go to different areas that I haven't explored yet. It feels so good to play this game. Like seriously,
I compared
the
movement and the artwork. So it's like 3D art, like a standard 3D platformer that you might see. Not quite as crisp as something like It Takes Two in the environment, but it's very cartoony. Right. But then the characters are almost like Paper Mario style, kind of flat.
Yeah. That was a perfect description of that. Just the way that they move, like side to side.
The way they jump around is kind of like they're cut out. It's like what's that game where you write scribble knots or whatever? It's kind of like that art style.
Yeah, it's scribble knots the same way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's really fun, and I love the bridge. Little companions that you use to create a bridge. If you walk on them, you hear ow, 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 as you walk up the bridge. It's really funny.
Sure.
You hear them making noise and stuff.
And by the way, you do get a lot of them. So it starts out with like 10 or 20.
Dude. And it doesn't slow down the game or anything. It doesn't.
You start getting like these huge crowds of these little creatures following.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you're supposed to have like a surplus of them. You're gonna have a lot.
There's a lot of games that I play that like I'll explore every corner. Because I definitely have moments of feeling a lot of OCD of like I gotta find out what's behind that thing over there.
Yeah.
A lot of games don't reward you for that, and I'm like, why did you make it this way then? Like, why did you let me go back here if you're not going to give me something?
Sometimes it's as simple as this game isn't even that complex at all. It has like only one upgrade system, and you're upgrading your hover ability.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But that's enough. That's enough to motivate me to go find all this extra freaking currency and stuff.
Well, that's what I was
Like,
gonna say. Like, I got that little dopamine fix because behind
Yeah.
that book there were like 3 little golden pollen pieces. Those
Yeah.
don't really help me that much, but like I was like, haha, see, I'm glad I came up here.
Yeah,
because those get up here.
exactly.
It's so simple though, but yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's something so gratifying about that, even though it's like it is quite a simple game, but
Now,
it's
Jeff,
really.
I haven't
mean,
seen any
it's
combat
really
yet.
charming.
Is there any combat or bosses?
No, there's
It's
no
just
combat
puzzle
or
platforming.
it's kind of puzzle based, but the puzzles aren't hard at all. Like if they were complicated, I would have bounced a while ago. But the fact that it's like so, I don't know, it's so friendly for any age, really.
Very charming.
Yeah, very charming game. Really impossible to put down, and an easy one to play because it's right there on Game Pass.
Yeah.
And it looks good and it runs amazingly. I don't know who made this game, but my PC was not heating up like 1 second through my like 4-hour consecutive playthrough.
But it's
like,
smooth. It's really smooth.
Yeah,
and-
smooth,
yeah.
no glitches, nothing
nice.
weird. Yeah, exactly. I was very impressed with this game.
Yep.
For me having just installed it on a whim and know nothing about it, I just very
There you go.
impressed.
That's why
Yep.
Game Pass is fun. You just play these
Yeah.
random games that you're like,
That's why
I
it pays to be
Yeah.
poor.
No
Yeah.
stakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No stakes at all. Get to try stuff on a whim.
Sorry, I had
Awesome.
my weekly motorcycle gang go flying by.
Sure.
Oh, it's just Jax Teller and his friends.
It's just Jax Teller. Yeah. So yeah,
Riding
I'm
through
glad
this
you're playing
world.
it and glad you're liking it. And actually hearing you talk about it more makes me go like, you know what? This is not a, 90 minutes or not, maybe 45 minutes. I'm not sure how long I played it. It was around an hour.
Mhm.
Now I think I'm actually gonna just go ahead and play the whole thing because it was fun.
It is
I
fun,
think
and the
it's-
fact that each level unlocks like a new thing,
Yeah.
and a new atmosphere, and they get bigger. Like they get way bigger. Like the 5th level is pretty massive. 6th one's even more massive. It's like an amusement park that's
Okay.
in a kid's bedroom.
So I was looking up
and
the
there's so much
developer.
stuff to do.
I was looking at the developer because the art style at moments and some of the animations reminded me of it's a game that I think is on Switch and maybe a few other places now, but it was a mobile game on Apple Arcade that I played called Grindstone. And it's actually a game I highly recommend if you like puzzle games.
I've heard
It's
about this
It's a
game.
fantastic puzzle game. Again, if you like puzzle games, it's really, really, really good. So anyway, it had very similar art style to like the characters and the little Tinykins, but it's not them. I thought it might be the same. It's not them, but I know it's a relatively new developer, but the publisher has published all kinds of stuff that I've seen on Steam, some stuff that I've played and on Game Pass, like Kill It With Fire. Like the publisher has done lots of these kind of
That's
smaller
a
games.
great title.
Kill It With Fire.
I wonder what I'm doing in that game.
Yeah, you know exactly what that is. So anyway, yeah,
There's
Tinykin.
there's one Game Pass game coming out that I'm like, I know exactly what I'm doing in that game. It's coming soon.
Oh, is it the bad at parking one?
Yes, bad at parking. It's like, oh, I wonder what I'm doing in that game.
You suck at parking, I think.
Yes.
Jeez.
It's You Suck at Parking is the literal name of the
You
game.
suck at parking.
And
dude, I'm gonna play that so
yeah.
much.
I'm
you're
gonna
literally
suck
just
at it.
parking into it. And watching the gameplay footage, it looks ridiculous. Like your car can only go like super slow or insanely fast.
Yeah, it's funny on the Game Pass
yeah.
for PC screen, like the games that are coming up, like there's titles like Pentiment that if I weren't into the industry and know what that, I'd be like, I have
Yeah.
no idea what that is.
Peppermint? Peppermint? What?
That's not a word. Who said pentiment? But like, and then you see You Suck at Parking. I'm like, I know what that is. I know
Yeah,
exactly what that is.
Yeah. Names
So
matter,
anyway,
man. Names
yeah,
matter.
Tinykin is a super charming game. Highly recommend it if you have Game Pass. Apparently, it's also I think on Switch and other platforms. So you can find
That's
it.
a good
elsewhere.
Switch game. Yeah.
I think it's on Switch. Double check that if you've got a Switch and you're interested in it. But really good game. I would say for sure if it's in that $20 range, it is absolutely worth that money. If you don't have Game Pass, if you have Game Pass, just play it there.
Mhm.
All right. Is anyone playing the Cowabunga collection? I am not.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah, I got
All right.
it.
Dan, so tell me about
Cowabunga,
tell me
dude.
about being the turtle again.
So yeah, I actually streamed that and Sifu yesterday. I did an
Oh.
hour of each. And yeah, it's just
Dan,
it's-
where can we watch you stream stuff?
Oh, you can go to twitch.tv and go to dapper_chocobo.
Got it.
Yep. Thank you.
I got to guess the spelling on too many words. I'm not going to do that.
I know spelling's really hard. I'm so sorry that you are
Does
ignorant.
Chocobo have 2 B's? I'm out.
Does that have a K in it at all? It feels like there should be a K in there.
There's a
If
silent-
Not, it's horse shit.
There's a silent 3 in there. There's a silent 3.
There's a
It's a silent 3. There's a Batman symbol. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about how it got in there.
Yeah, it's just nostalgia. It's a
Yeah.
it's a big compilation. There's a lot of games in there. And there's also like, so they have a Turtles lair, and if you go into the Turtles lair, they actually like scanned like all the covers of the game. Like you see them kind of like flattened down, and you can look at the front and the back of the cases.
Cool.
like that. I
The
haven't
seen that yet.
manuals. You could look at the comics. They have like the covers of the comics. The shows, the animated shows. So there was 4 different ones. I thought there was more than that, but they only have 4 of them.
There's
So
some that are still on, like Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a new show.
yeah, I think that one's like the newest one that they show.
Yeah, that's the newest iteration, I think.
Yeah,
I think
but
Ben
yeah.
Schwartz does the voice on that one.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just super cool. It's super fun. Honestly, the main thing was the one Nintendo one that I wanted to play, because I could never beat that when I was over my friend's
Are you
house
talking
back
about
in
the
the day.
old top-down
Yep.
one? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it becomes side-scrolling when you go into like
Yeah.
a level or whatever.
Exactly.
It's like Zelda 2. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that you can switch between the turtles on the
Yeah.
fly. But
I devoted a lot of my childhood to beating that game.
so hard.
It is
It's so
one of
difficult.
it's maybe one of the hardest games ever created. I don't
It
know.
is so hard, dude. And
It
it's
is
like
hey, it is the Dark Souls of Nintendo games.
yes, exactly. It's TMNT ring, right?
Yeah.
Instead of Elden Ring, TMNT.
I will
That's
I will
why
say
Donatello is the best character for that because he can reach far.
Donatello
Yeah.
was the best in most of these beginning games because of the reach, yeah. Which
Leo
is why
is
I still
pretty
use
good
him to
too.
this day.
And
Leo
Michelangelo
is
and
good too.
Raphael are the worst because their reach is so little. It's
Yeah,
like, come
they got
on.
the-
Especially Raph's.
You want him
Especially
inside of your hitbox? Are you crazy?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's crazy.
I feel like the game, even though it is a lot of games, I feel like it is still $10 a little too steep.
Yeah,
It's 40.
yeah.
It's
How much is it?
$40 instead
40.
of 30. I feel like it should be
Oh.
30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still like it's exactly what you want in this type of thing. It is an emulator for all these games, all these
Yeah.
old ass games that
Nice package.
I loved from
Yeah.
all
That's
back
what
then.
she said.
You got what, like two
Nice package.
two Game Boy games, one Game Boy Advance, a few arcade ones,
Yep.
Super Nintendo.
Nintendo.
So it made sense to get it on Switch for me. I got it on
Like,
Switch because those
the,
are most of them are Nintendo titles. So
Yeah.
There's like tournament fighters in there.
there's
twice.
some Tournament Fighters one. Yeah, there's
Because there's a
one
Super
of them's
Nintendo and a
arcade, right?
Genesis one, right?
Oh, Genesis.
I think it's
interesting.
Genesis and Super. Yeah, and they actually are different games. Like I went into
Dude,
each
I
one.
Yeah, there's the same name.
Back
It's like
in the
Tournament
day,
Fighters.
they
Tournament
used to
Fighters.
be
I'm like,
developed
what's
by
going
different
on?
developers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Like
I
the
still
Aladdin,
remember
like the Aladdin
when,
game. You know, like
So our family lived over in Europe for a few years in the early 90s. We were missionaries over there, and I remember getting Nintendo Power, and it would arrive like months late. But I
Mhm.
remember Nintendo Power would get my brother and I pumped up. Not to go too deep into like our family history, but we would once every month or two we would drive to Austria because Vienna was very kind of westernized,
Mm.
and we lived in Hungary, which was still very poor and third world. So Austria was where we could like load up on all the American stuff we've been missing.
Nice.
Everything, and I'm not kidding, like peanut butter, video games, whatever the things are that you're missing from back home, McDonald's for dinner, like all that stuff was Vienna. I remember we would go there, and that's where we would load up on our Game Boy or Super Nintendo stuff. And I was so hyped for TMNT Tournament Fighter because Nintendo Power
Mm.
did some special like preview coverage of it in their magazine. And dude, anytime anyone mentions that game, I just get this wave of nostalgia of
Yeah,
like,
yep.
not only had I read
core memory
I had
unlocked.
I had read that the spread in Nintendo Power several times.
I
but
mean,
then
as soon
on-
as you mention Nintendo Power core memory,
Yeah,
immediately
for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
for sure.
even on the drive, to
I
buy
subscribed
it,
to that way longer than I should have.
even on the drive to
I was
had
an
saved up
adult
my
and
money,
still
I
got
was
that.
gonna buy this game, but
Same.
even on the drive to go buy it, I'm like reading the Nintendo Power about it again. You know what I mean? Like it was that. Oh, so good.
It blew me away that like you would open it up and it'd be like, we have the entire walkthrough for Game X, and it's like the whole
know.
game. Like,
yeah,
wow,
it's right there.
I
Well,
don't have
dude-
to pay $19.99 to Prima. Like I
So
can
my-
just, I can just
my
look at it
brother-
here.
My brother had one of the coolest rooms up in the attic of our very sketchy house, but his room was the coolest because he lined the wall. The walls were like not in the best shape, but then by the time he was done decorating, his room looked amazing because he would take every fold-out poster from Nintendo Power and just did them in order, like all
That's
around his
awesome.
room. So it was like
Awesome.
coding his room, like all the Nintendo Power posters. So like I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
very vivid memory of that. So anyway,
what
sorry.
did
Like,
you end
That's
up
pretty cool.
learning? How old were you when you were in Hungary?
Yeah, so I was like second, third, fourth grade.
So did you end up having to learn the language then in that? at
Dude,
that
I
point?
was fluent. I would translate
You
for
were
my
fluent.
dad.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because my dad was over there. He was kind of doing missionary / kind of like some business stuff. He was doing a combination of things, and he would need to talk to Hungarian folks all the time, and we would oftentimes help him clarify what he was trying to say. And
That's
yeah.
interesting.
I don't
Wow.
remember very well now. Kids are sponges, man. But then, like, once you're out of that environment, like,
Oh
it
yeah.
just goes boop.
If you don't
gone.
use it, you lose it. It's quite
Yeah,
true for almost every
I know that was a little bit of a
aspect of
digress,
life,
but
yeah.
when you said tournament fighters, it was just like bink.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Again,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Turtles in Time, and
It's in there a few times,
that
yeah.
Nintendo one are the two for me that I'm just like, whoop, just right back as a kid. Right
By
back
the
as a
way,
kid.
one of the other
Absolutely.
games that I got that's no longer socially acceptable was Speedy Gonzales on the Game Boy, and hey, that game was pretty fun. I gotta be honest.
For a kid,
Pretty
yeah,
fun.
that was pretty fun. Hey,
That's pretty fun.
Twitter's on actually the line for me. I think it's about you, Tim. I don't know. Let me.
I
Twitter's
have
on the line.
Twitter. I have Jack Twitter on the phone.
Yeah. Steven Twitter, the patriarch of Twitter.
Yeah,
Steven
they, them.
That's right. Yeah, well, I think this is cool that they put out this Cowabunga collection. I think it's a no-brainer to buy. When it's down in price for me personally, I will grab it. But
Yeah.
40 is pretty steep.
It is a perfect, like I said, it's an emulator, so it's quite literally every game you want. And if you already have more than one controller and you have people over, just couch co-op
There you
most
go.
of those games. You know, like they're begging you right at the top of the screen to press start for at least 8 of those games. So,
But hey,
like,
until then, just play Shredder's Revenge. If you're like me waiting for
Yeah.
the sale on this, go play Shredder's Revenge because
Dude,
that one
game's
also.
incredible.
It
Yeah.
really, I mean, obviously the nostalgia is there and it is still fun for like Turtles in Time. But
Right.
I actually wasn't even aware, or maybe I was and I just forgot. But there's actually one before that. There's like the very first one, and I hopped into that first, and it is rough. Like
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
are things you can't do in that
That
game.
might have
that
been the
even
arcade one. That might have been the arcade.
Maybe.
I was gonna say, I was like, I'm
Maybe.
wondering if you're talking about the one
Um,
that I actually played the most. Because,
like,
yeah.
there isn't even.
Was it the original Nintendo like side scroller? Like
No.
it was
So
fully a side scroller.
beat 'em up one. But it's before Turtles in Time, so it's like it's that style, but like you can't.
But was it a Super Nintendo game or a Nintendo game?
It doesn't
I don't
tell
know.
you when
I
you're
think-
scrolling across.
It's either
Oh,
Nintendo
okay.
or arcade. Then
That's
well,
too bad.
it shows a little icon under the name of the when you're scrolling through the game strip. I don't know if
Oh.
you know. There's a little
I
icon.
couldn't see it, so I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
There's a
I gotta
little
pay more
icon
attention.
there. So it's
I think
either
that
Super
was the one-
Nintendo or arcade.
I think that was the one I grew up playing. Well,
But there's at
Super
least
Nintendo probably
I
not,
remember
but-
there being like 3 Turtles in Time that you scroll across, and like one is arcade, one is the Super Nintendo one that we
Super.
all played
And probably
many
Sega.
times.
Yeah.
And then one of them's got to be
Um,
Sega or something else. I don't
But
know.
but this one's before that, and it's like even just
Oh.
something as simple as like dashing. You can't dash in it. The enemies are like way more grabby. Like they'll just grab you, and the other guy's just pummeling you like way sooner.
Oh.
Like the balance
Feels
is
like-
roughly off.
feels like
that was-
arcade.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
gonna say,
See,
that's,
if
that's
you-
problems with later like street oh my gosh, Double Dragon games.
Double
like
Dragon,
the
yeah.
Oh,
enemies
yeah.
just grab you a lot.
Yeah, if you go back in time to play some of these old games, you almost have to think of it like, all right, this was like the first draft, and then
Right.
the next game they introduced like what we now think of as very basic requirements for
Yep,
this
yep,
to be
yep.
a decent game.
right,
So, like,
right.
You have to think of it like drafts almost.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
all right,
You
they,
do.
They,
yeah.
they eventually got there, and they
Absolutely.
eventually balanced out difficulty and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
But
It
it
just
just-
took a while.
The main point I was trying to get at was just it makes me appreciate that new one that they just made because just all the little like even just like there's dodging in the new one, like you can kind of
Yeah.
like roll around and just the fluidity of it and the movement is just so much better. So like it takes that nostalgia and like the concept of those old beat 'em ups and then just like makes it modern. It's like, oh, all these little extra things are like super appreciated. So
It's funny, even just mentioning playing games with my brother on Game Boy and Super Nintendo way back in the day just reminded me of one of the more forgotten games, at least in my mind, till, of course, that big wave of nostalgia hit me. Did you guys ever play the Gargoyles Quest games?
no.
There's even one
Great
on,
show though.
There was one on Super Nintendo that was called something different. On Game Boy, it was Gargoyles Quest, like a full-on action RPG where you're a gargoyle. It's a side-scrolling action RPG where you upgrade and everything.
Yeah, sure.
And it had an overworld map where you have to like go to different dungeons and stuff. Like it was a legit
So
action RPG
so
game.
Game Boy you said, right? Yeah, because
That was Game Boy, and then the Super Nintendo one was called something different. It was called
let me
Everybody I knew at that age was more of a Gargoyles fan than I was. That's for sure.
I don't know if I ever saw an episode of Gargoyles.
Yeah.
He was red on the Super Nintendo one.
Oh,
was
Demon's Crest.
Demon's Crest. Yeah.
Yes.
Demon's
Oh,
Okay.
wow, okay.
Yeah, so nothing to
Game
do with
Boy
the show.
had so many great like property
Dude,
games.
They really
Yeah.
did.
Like,
Yeah, they really did.
Like when
Every
people
single-
talk about like property games are always really bad, movie games are always bad. I'm like, did you not play Game Boy
Do you
Advance
not
games? Like,
remember?
Dude,
a lot
Batman
of them were
Returns.
amazing. Like
Batman Returns on the Game Boy was actually
yes,
a really
dude,
good game.
It's a super good
I
side scroller.
played,
That's a great game.
And it wasn't good. None of them were good, but I played all. I was obsessed with Power Rangers, so I played like all those
Yeah.
games on Nintendo,
One of them had
Game
to have
Boy.
been good.
One of
There
them
had to
had
have
to
been
be
one
good.
They were fun to a
competent one, yeah.
fan, but
There
like
was a
outside
'em
of
up
being
one.
a fan, it's like they're not
Because
good. Yeah, there
that
was
was
one that
such
was
a big-
trying to be a
there was such
Teenage
a big
Mutant Turtles
property.
thing, and that it wasn't. It just
All
wasn't.
right,
as good.
I gotta make a note. We gotta circle back to licensed games, our favorite licensed games from our
Yeah.
Yes,
childhood or
Tim.
something.
Yeah.
Make a note. I would love to make that list. I've
If
never
we
made
gotta-
that list. That'd be
we gotta
amazing.
I remember
circle back to
sinking
that.
a lot of time into Batman Forever on Super Nintendo too, and that game
That's
is
a good
not
one.
good.
Batman Forever's a good
No.
one. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
I'm thinking-
terrible. It's
I'm thinking
terrible.
I mean,
maybe-
yeah, I guess I have good memories attached to it.
I have
yeah.
great
I have
memories
good
attached
memories
to
of
it.
playing at bowling alleys and playing on Super Nintendo and getting mad at it, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not-
I still remember
It's a
people like
quarter
taking a dump
sucker,
on that
yeah.
that Star Wars N64 game, The Shadows of the Empire, and I
Yeah.
thought at the time this was the best thing I've ever played. This is so
Shadows of
amazing.
the
It's so
Emp- I-
epic.
That is one. It's still one of my favorite games I ever played. But I bet I couldn't play it if we had.
Like
if you had
we
to go back to it.
brought our N64 and controllers and the CRT TV to my grandma's house for a Christmas vacation because we wanted to play it so bad. After we got it, we didn't want to leave it at home, and we played it in her basement late at night. Dude, that game is
You
amazing.
start off
Yeah.
playing Hoth in that game.
Oh,
It's
so good.
Hoth, man.
So
Battle of
good.
Hoth.
How do I not remember this game? I only remember the pod racing.
Shadow
game.
of the Empire. If I had to make a Star Wars
Yes,
like
it's pod
best
racing.
video games ever list, it's still in my top three.
It's way up
best
there, man.
Star
It's so
Wars
good.
video games of all
It's
time.
so
man.
good. Okay,
The
The
all right, I
train
know.
level with IG-88, man. Oh my
Oh,
god! Don't even.
The train level is so
The
good.
train level, dude.
The
It's
train
the original
level.
Uncharted.
Oh my
Uncharted
god!
copied this game.
And when you're like, there's a whole level where you're like surrounded by garbage, and I thought that was like the most exciting level I'd ever played. It was
There's
you're
like
in
there's a monster like
Yeah.
in the sewer. Like, are you talking about the
Yes.
sewer level? Yeah,
yes,
oh
the
my God,
sewer,
yeah.
sewer and garbage. Yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
Okay, all right, we got to move on. All
Core
right,
memory unlocked.
core memory unlocked. This has been a lot of memories unlocked so far. Hey, by the way, speaking of nostalgia, how about this new Lord of the Rings show that just aired really last night, I guess, but today for most folks? I was able to watch the whole first episode and I started the second, but then some family stuff kicked in and I had to kind of go into dad mode. I have not finished the second episode yet, but
So you
wanted
saw
to get
Meteor
your guys,
Man. Cool.
I wanted to get, yeah, I did. I wanted to get your guys kind of general, of course, like I said earlier, we'll stay spoiler free, but what are your general thoughts on the Rings of Power Amazon show that is finally seeing the light of day? The most expensive show ever made. Everyone loves to
It is,
lead.
Yeah,
like-
and you know what? There was actually
$750 million.
there was actually I remember reading too the cast being like, when do we get out of here? We haven't heard a schedule. Like there were so many
Yeah.
production woes too. And there were concerns about whether this was going to deliver or not. I mean, I thought it was great, the first two episodes. So I mean, it's a great start. Let me phrase it that way, because you're not getting a whole lot yet.
You are
They're
not.
kind of spoon feeding you.
There's
What's-
a lot that you have to set up to
Yes,
set up the
there's-
stage.
it's all
Like,
set
you have
up
to explain
in a
what the
traditional-
first stage is
Yeah.
to know what's going on in the
Yeah.
second age. So there's
Yep.
a lot of just like
it's you know what?
fantasy exposition in the first
And it's not coming off
episode.
like, oh, this is a movie that's being stretched out. No, this feels like a TV show. Like it feels like
You
they're
have to
setting
tell
up
the
several
story,
different
yeah.
storylines that
Yeah.
have nothing to do with each other yet. But,
Great
like,
new
you have to
characters, by the
follow-
way.
Yeah.
Great
Oh,
characters.
dude, they're all so great.
and
so
great
far.
familiar characters like Galadriel
Yes.
and Elrond. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this though, this is super minor, and this happens with any prequel. Whenever there is a familiar character who you know is around later, any kind of danger they're in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I immediately get pulled
yeah.
out of it. Like,
It's a
whatever.
fake sense of
Yeah.
danger. Yeah.
So that is a so minor. Don't get me wrong, like very minor. It's not even a criticism. It's just
For all we know, these don't connect to. They could kill these characters, and they're already changing.
It's a
they're changing the lore completely
multiverse.
already.
It's
You
a
know,
multiverse.
for all
No,
the
but, like,
purists out there who
I
are
thought
mad
the same
about
thing
it. But
for like
they
when I
could-
watched Black Widow. I remember thinking like, if I saw Black Widow in the timeline it should have been, like before all the last Avengers type stuff, I wonder if that would have hit a little harder. Like if
Yeah.
I would have maybe enjoyed it even more. I don't know if the danger she was potentially
Yeah,
in.
it was more about the emotional quest or whatever, and not
It-
so much
I-
the
Yeah, overall it was
Stakes.
fine. But I did
physical
wonder,
tension.
like, I wonder if I would have had that little bit of that overlying, like, oh, I
Mhm.
hope she makes it. Like,
Oh, for
I-
sure.
I had that moment too. But to be fair, the first episode, at least the start of the second, doesn't have a ton of like life-threatening action. It has some. There's some cool
Nah.
moments, but not a ton of
Cool
action.
snow troll in the first episode.
Very
That was
cool
fun.
snow
I mean,
troll. The
Pretty
effects,
much every character
monster
name that
design.
you might not recognize, just anticipate a burial at some point in the show. Like, I mean, that's pretty much the.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
end up caring about them, and then as soon as you start caring about them, they're gonna die or whatever. Just,
Well,
just
Yeah.
set yourself up for that.
To be
at
fair,
this point.
also like out of that Lord of the Rings trilogy, Peter Jackson's like the first movie has the least amount of action compared to the second and third. So you can kind of look at it.
It's
like
a lot
that.
of setup in that movie.
Yeah. So there's
Yeah,
a lot
'cause
of
you're
them.
setting up a whole fantasy world with its own lingo and
Yeah.
universal rules and everything.
And we got
so.
new lingo in this one too. I don't remember hearing Harfoot before. Like, so.
but did you notice how that?
Yeah.
These are like proto hobbits.
These
I
are
guess,
pre-hobbits. Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is
proto-hobbit,
like
yeah.
this is the way my brain works, and maybe I'm way off because I don't know my Tolkien lore like a lot of people do. But is that because they had hairy foot, and so it was like Harfoot, like hairy foot? Is that where that came from? Because you have hair on your foot.
I mean, probably. I mean,
And then that ended up being
wrote
like
it, so
the way that they like pronounced it almost sounded like it could turn into Hobbit as they like pronounced it.
Harfoot, Hobbit. Yeah,
No,
okay.
I'm not kidding.
Well, if
Like,
you look
No,
up,
no.
I had like a
something
Hodor.
there,
I had like
yeah.
a Hodor moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you might have something
well,
there. yeah.
scholars have like, believe it or not, they're
Interesting.
scholars to J.R.R. Tolkien shit, but like
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
already drawn maps of like where the hobbits came from, and they
Right.
all like migrated from like different areas, and one of the three groups that ended up becoming hobbits were Harfoot, and that was generations way before Frodo and all them.
Harfoot. Okay, gotcha.
So like you have Harfoot, and then there's like a bunch of other hobbit like.
Well, even like Schmeagol,
Beasties.
like they always call him a hobbit. He's like a river
Schmeagol.
for like he's like a type of hobbit, but like
Yeah.
that's another sect of like
but eventually they
little
all
folk who
just
came through.
become hobbits because
yep.
racism.
Yeah, he's not a pure blood. Get him out
It's
of here.
consolidated racism, Jeff. Okay.
Yeah,
Consolidated.
it is economical. I gotta give
different.
props for that. Yeah.
Consolidated.
So yeah, I agree with your take that it's overall like the quality is very good. I think the cast is fantastic. Like the characters are very interesting. Like
Galadriel is like the main force in the show and perfectly cast. I
she's
don't
great.
remember that actress before, but
you know,
she's
she kind of
fantastic.
looks like I looked her up on IMDb because I was like, I don't think I've seen her before, but her IMDb picture at least reminded me a lot of Rebecca Ferguson, who kind of
Yeah, I see that.
kind of has
I
that
can see
vibe a little bit. Like, a
She's very
younger-
Welsh though, so like her name is like really weird. Sorry, no offense to
More-
Welsh people.
It's like
That's
Morf-
racist.
Morphid, but I don't know how you pronounce it.
I think that's it. I think it's just Morphid.
Morphid.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
yeah, I think
it's
she's
Morphid
great.
time?
I think the guy who plays
Morphid
Elrond is a pretty good actor. you
He's
know, I think
fantastic,
he-
and I love already that he's like a friend and a nice guy in
Yeah,
the show.
yeah,
And like
yeah.
in the movies, he's already like, can you guys just leave me
Yeah,
alone?
I hate
Like-
you. I hate everybody. We're trying to leave.
Can
to
you leave me
paradise.
alone?
Yeah.
So
We're
it's
trying
all
to
about his journey.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
seeing
he's still
so hard
helpful
to-
here.
But you know what's interesting there is that she, of course, is like pushing the boundaries, going against leadership. You know, she's kind of a
Yes.
rebel, and he is trying. Like he clearly cares really deeply for her. We know that even from the movies that they've got a close bond of some kind. But so he cares. But he's also kind of like, yeah, but you broke the rules. Like you, this is what
Yeah,
happened. So
he's
like
playing the game. Yeah,
I
he's playing the
already like
political
that.
game.
Like there's a little bit of that in the dialogue that a TV show gives you space to let that kind of stuff breathe. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that
So
all
you'll
plays out.
see in episode 2 the friendly side of him for sure. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
He-
Yeah,
he-
there's some great stuff in episode 2 with dwarves.
Yeah,
and
I really like they already pair him up with a character that I'm like, oh, these two are going to be very fun.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll leave that reveal for everybody
yeah,
to watch. But
I've been loving that dynamic.
yeah,
It's-
I've been loving that. You're gonna hear you saw and I don't know how much we can get into it, but you saw the end of the first episode with the name drop from the character we know from
I
the
did.
games.
Oh yeah. I did. 'cause I looked him up, I was like,
So we
"That's the-
kind of.
I was like, that's the guy who like makes weapons or whatever. Like,
Yeah, he's the guy who forges the rings of power.
He's the guy who-
you know?
okay,
Oh,
let's be honest.
sure.
Let's just go back real quick from the Shadows of War, Mordor games. He's
Yep.
a key component to that story with why you're doing what you're doing, especially in the
Yep.
second game, I think.
So all of us who have played the games, like that name should have like boop immediately.
did.
So
It
when I
jumped out
heard
right
it,
away, and I was
I
like-
turned to my buddy and I was like, oh.
So I actually didn't connect who I was like, I recognize this name, so I had to pause
Yep.
it. I looked it up, and then all of a sudden, all the video game stuff came up. I was like, "Oh, that guy!"
Yep,
got
yep,
it.
See, I
So
didn't
they-
get that far in the games at all, so I didn't recognize that. But I looked at the cast list, and he was
It's
already
the very
like,
first cutscene of the very first.
he was
game.
already
That's
credited
what
as
I'm
like
telling
one of the people that's gonna be in the
you.
show, and he was already like listed as somebody that's in the show and like what his
Yeah.
function is in the show. So like
Oh, okay.
It's like,
To
oh,
be fair,
okay.
I didn't know a lot of the stuff going into the show. I knew Galadriel. I knew that. I knew there was a young Galadriel.
There's some
Elrond.
things they're still kind of keeping close to the chest, but yeah,
But
for
I didn't
sure.
know
There's
any of
some
that
they've already
stuff.
revealed. Yeah.
I was like, all right, I know this, and I'm gonna stay away from it. And anyway, overall, I think it's delivered, and I think if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, why wouldn't you watch this? Go watch it. And it's,
Do we think like what this first season's going to end with them actually crafting the Rings of Power, and then
That's where I think this season ends.
And then
like
it's more like
they either start like after the forge is built, they either start building the rings, or maybe like that's like the big cliffhanger. It's like we're gonna make these things.
I would love it
And then
if
it's
it's
about
called the
the
Rings
power
of Power, but they
grab
don't do
and-
anything
Yeah.
with the rings for the whole show. That'd be great if they
and
just
then it's
ignore
about
the
like
stuff.
the guy
Called
who
Rings
ends
of
up
Power, Tim.
the guy who
I hope they ignore him.
the guy who ends up we gif all the time and say no. That guy.
No. The King of Men.
Human King, yeah. It ends up. I assume the show's going to be about his fall from grace too, like in a sense.
It's
Yeah,
still
we're gonna
over,
meet
like, 5 or 6
Isildur.
years or
Yeah,
whatever.
we're gonna meet Isildur for sure.
Isildur,
You know, and
yeah.
that's all gonna happen. Yeah.
It
Sweet.
depends on if they. I mean, because with this being as expensive as it is, like if. I mean, I guess it would be based off of the viewership, right? Like if they get enough, they're like, oh, all right, we got enough people.
It's really
This is gonna
complicated
be
because
like-
Embracer owns the rights to Lord of the Rings now. So
Okay.
now Amazon's gonna have to figure out a new deal, like with Embracer to continue the show, which I don't think there'll be any complications with. But I think it will be viewer related.
We had a bad
I
deal.
think
We're
if
gonna
nobody
get
watches the
new
show,
deal.
obviously they're not gonna make more.
A new deal.
A better deal, a more friendly deal with the Swedens.
deal. That's the name.
It's gonna be
great.
the
Swedish
best
people,
deal.
Embracer. They're from Sweden. Great people, wonderful people.
The best people.
The best. The best.
Guys, this is a great. I walked in and I said, "Wow, what a great deal."
Yeah.
All right.
God damn it.
You guys gotta watch Shane Gillis if you haven't. His bit on Trump is.
This is the great deal.
He said all you
Great
do is like
deal.
you just describe a
Federal.
thing and then you
Gotta
just
put the
say
gruff
how
in
you just describe it and you say how you described it. Like, this is a great room. I walked in and I said, "Wow, what a great room." Like that's the whole Trump thing.
I walked in it and it got even better.
Yeah.
All right. So last thing I want to cover before we jump into a few headlines is The Patient, which
Yes.
I'm excited to jump into this one. It's a
Me too.
looks like a very intense thriller with Steve
Yeah, and
Carell.
that is
Uh,
this is Steve Carell and Donald Gleason, who y'all would know from like Ex Machina and the new Star Wars trilogy and stuff. The last Star Wars trilogy.
General Hux.
He was Hux. Yeah, and he was having fun in that role. This is not. He's a serial killer in this show. This is kind of a wild role for him, and he's very like composed and like aware of what he is. And Steve Carell plays his therapist, and in the first episode, it's like regular patient doctor talks, but there was something there that Donald Gleason's character was just not giving him. Like he just wasn't. They were just reminiscing about stuff, but he wasn't really giving him anything about what was wrong with him. What brought him to freaking like what brought him to a psychiatrist? Like what? So then
psychiatrist.
this is the very opening. This is the very opening of the show. Is Steve Carell waking up in a bedroom and he's like handcuffed to the freaking bed.
It's in the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he is taken hostage. Basically, that's the premise of the show. Is like he's taken hostage by the serial killer, and the serial killer is forcing him to make him better mentally or whatever.
Yeah.
But this show lives in its really like intense moments where it's just slow and like the soundtrack has this weird pulsing whenever it's just somebody freaking out trying to figure out what's going on. Like it's really good, and it's co-created by the guy who did The Americans, which is a very intense show, and I freaking love that show. Highly
That's
recommend
on
it.
Nothing but
FX,
great
right?
things about that show.
That was on FX. Hulu. This one is on FX on Hulu, meaning it's just on Hulu. And it drops like at 11 p.m. the night before or whatever.
That's funny. When I first saw the image of it, I immediately thought of the Will Ferrell Paul Rudd show, where it's like kind of a dark
Same.
comedy.
Yeah, and this is not that at all.
And
Yeah.
this is not
Yeah,
that.
I
No.
thought the same thing. I didn't know it was actually such a serious drop. So like
This
now
is
I'm
very
like,
tense.
now it's getting bumped, especially if it's week to week.
It also
It's like-
feels like it is week to week. They just did 2 episodes, and
gonna-
then they're gonna do
I
one
guess I'm waiting.
episode. Yeah, you can wait.
And, Dan,
and that's
actually, you
fine.
can just turn off your camera and.
I'll be
we'll let
honest,
you know when
this
you
this
come
does
back.
this does feel like a movie type TV show where it's like half-hour episodes, and it feels like they're telling just a movie, but over the course of a TV show because it's a miniseries.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it a lesser show. It's just it ends with these crazy cliffhangers that you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You guys
it-
remember back when shows
yeah.
did like 20 plus episodes a season and all the filler content they had to put into each season?
yeah, all of
The dark
what are they,
times,
bottle
yeah.
episodes
The
that they
dark
did.
times.
And,
So many. Oh, dude, I just watched the Community when they talked about, is this a bottle episode? Like, I love
This is a
that.
bo-
That's
Yeah.
dude,
All
we're
right,
doing
we're
a
in for a
bottle
bottle episode.
And then Jeff's all mad. He's like, I got to do a bottle episode. I can't come talk to you right now.
I got. Sorry.
So good. So good. All right.
Yeah. So self-aware.
It's good
Well-
though. It's a great start so far, so I highly recommend it.
So, you know what I love about this? All the new games and shows we talked about, I guess outside of Lord of the Rings, nothing else was like, oh, we're all so hyped for this. This has been kind of a pleasant surprise of a week, like The Patient,
Yeah.
the
Tinykin
Tinykin.
is really resonated
So
for me.
I like when stuff like that happens, where it's kind of like, hey, here's a couple pleasant surprises for the week that, as we keep talking about October and maybe too much about how great that's going to be or crazy that's going to be, whatever. I like having weeks like this where it's like, dude, there's plenty to keep me interested,
for
entertained,
sure.
and for me to enjoy. And I love it. I love that kind of stuff.
By the way, there is another 2022 game that came to Game Pass. If you have Ultimate, it's Grid's Legends. Just came to Game Pass Ultimate.
Because it's on EA Play.
It's on EA, yeah. So if you have Ultimate, then you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that out. I installed it. We'll see how that runs. There's no way it's gonna be better than Forza or on par, but
Right.
I'll try it.
I got real excited for a second in Forza. I fired it up when I was trying out all the Xbox Game Cloud stuff. And I went over to the spot where it said, "Hey, come here for Hot Wheels," and I didn't realize that was just their way of saying you can purchase it from here.
Right,
Like, you can
yeah.
drive
Come
down.
Oh
on,
yeah,
Brian.
because Kyle and I bought it was like a $14-15 pre-order, but it basically allowed you to play Forza earlier and also
Right.
gave you Hot Wheels. So
I did not
like,
do, I just did the Game Pass.
you didn't do that. Okay, gotcha.
I just did Game Pass.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a little bit of a disappointment, but I was like, yeah, I guess I didn't pay for this. I can't be mad about it.
There is a way to there's obviously a convoluted way because it's Microsoft and that's how they tend to do things. You can find just the expansion and you don't have to pay full price for the game. That's a way around it.
Derek tells me I've got access to on the Xbox, but I still have the old Xbox One X, like an idiot. I don't have the new Xbox
You
console yet.
Idiot.
So, because Game Pass doesn't work across PC, but whatever. All right. Well, speaking of Microsoft, Halo Infinite. This is so crazy to me
Man.
because, like, I thought that they went through. They had such a criticized path to get Halo Infinite out the door, right? It was just they were under fire constantly, and especially if you were already a pony, you just giggled your way to write down your comment about how look how much money they spent, those idiots. Look at, like, everyone loved to talk about like the estimated budget's this much. Look at those idiots. Like, everyone loved that. I get it. Like, if you hate them already, this gave you more fodder to hate them. But then the game actually came out. The campaign was great. The multiplayer is fantastic. Like, it is the new top of the line Halo experience. It's great. But then they had all these like, why isn't it co-op? Like, that's one of the big draws.
Yeah.
And why not couch co-op? Like, where are the key pieces of Halo here? And now we just got some news that folks who've been waiting for those things, or even just mildly excited about those things, some bad news here. So we've got the couch co-op, the local split screen has just been canceled. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get local split screen co-op whatsoever.
And they didn't have it in Halo 5, I guess, to be fair. So I guess
They didn't.
we should be used
I
to
didn't-
it.
I didn't know
but
that.
It's still
Okay.
upsetting.
They did.
But they were planning on it. That's the difference. Like, it was
Yeah.
it was in the works.
Because it was a complaint with Halo 5.
It's not like
They
they
were
were
like,
saying,
okay,
it's
we're
not
gonna
like
do
they
it.
said, hey, we'll look into it, we'll let you know. Like, they were
Yeah.
planning on it and told people it's coming, and then now it's not.
Yeah.
But campaign co-op and the Forge beta, those things are still happening, but not until holiday season. So we'll get those in
It
November.
was supposed to be like a September release.
a
window
year
or
after
something.
release,
Yeah.
we're gonna finally
Yeah.
get campaign co-op. That's crazy to me. A Halo game came out, and a year later you can do the campaign co-op. That, even online, that's
Nobody's gonna do it. Like,
I mean, I
Some people
didn't
might.
beat the Halo campaign because I was like, oh, I want to finish the rest of the co-op. It'll be fun, Still
Yeah.
wait, So like, who knows
Crazy.
if I'll ever beat this game because of that.
And then on a lesser note, season 3 content getting delayed. I think that's a bummer, but that just feels like icing on the cake of a bunch of bad news already. It's just kind of like, of course that's delayed too. So, like, I don't know what's going on over there, but
Yeah,
that is
doesn't
a
make sense.
bad couple of shots from.
this is their
the Halo.
one
Yeah.
thing that they got going on. Like, aside from Forza, it's like their one thing. Like, come on, man.
There's something, because I mean, there were key members of the team, right? Like directors and leaders, like leaving throughout
Were
this
they?
entire throughout the entire project.
Huh.
There's been like a handful.
there's
of
definitely
a lot
been
of-
some
a lot of
turnover.
discourse, yeah.
yeah.
But
So
anyway, I think that's overall not fun news. It's not like all bad. It's not like Halo's dead. It's just more like,
yeah.
It's disappointing, especially for folks who are really leaning on playing this on the couch with a family member or friend. But it's also disappointing for folks who've been waiting, like Kyle and many others, to say, hey, I really want to experience this full campaign, but I want to wait till I can play with my buddy. I played all the other Halo games with my buddy, and I'm going to play it again. And then you're just going to have to wait for a year after it released. That's a bummer. It's a bummer.
I know. I have a lot of friends who still play the online, so I hear a lot of chatter online about like, oh, they just don't support this game enough and yada yada. But like, I know a lot of people who still get a lot out of playing this game weekly.
Which is too bad, because like I played the campaign and I finished it and I loved it. I thought it was a great campaign.
I loved it too, man.
I loved everything that I played. I thought was
incredible,
amazing. Yeah,
that was great.
Awesome.
But so it's too bad to see what I think was one of it was up there. It's one of the great games of last year. So I don't want to say one of the best, because I don't think I personally had it super high on my list, but it was one of the great games of
it making 10 is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
so,
it was really high for me, and when it does come to online co-op, Kyle, I will for sure play that with you, because you will be like, damn, this game is great, man.
The grapple,
you will love
grapple hook alone just made it so.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, but here's some good news for you Xbox fans out there. Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo, all of those series, everything from Blizzard Activision, once the deal finalizes, which by the way, it sounds like all of the worry about like, are there going to be problems with this? It sounds like it's almost certainly now going to be finalized, and then they're going to start bringing that stuff to Game Pass.
Yeah.
All the Blizzard Activision stuff.
Those are the biggest ones, especially referencing newer titles like future titles. And I think the UK is more stingy about acquisitions. So I think it's UK overseers in the government or whatever that are kind of pausing or keeping that deal.
Those British, I tell you what.
Hello, what's this deal, isn't it?
They ruin everything.
Hey, let me get a bottle of water. This is going to take a while.
Bottle of water. So
did you say bottle of water?
We're always so thirsty, so we're always pissed, isn't it?
Isn't it Harry Potter? Get a bottle of water. I'm tired of waiting here.
Xbox, isn't it?
Something about Guy Ritchie, you know?
Phil Spencer. All right.
That American wanker.
So I think that's good news for Xbox Game Pass fans, and they did reiterate, like, hey, like, these games are still coming on release day to PlayStation. It's just they're going to be on Game Pass. So it's almost like they're winking, nudge, like they're coming to there, but like they're going to be free over here. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to be.
If you're a Sony guy and you're mad about that, get a hobby.
Too bad. Sorry that
hobby,
the other company bought this company.
All
right. Get a new one, because you're
get a new one. Get a different one. Yeah.
Do
some whittling. Out. Practice whittling.
Yeah.
Speaking of Game Pass, the Friends and Family plan, which was already kind of rumored and talked about a little bit, but they're actually going to launch it, which I think is pretty cool. It's something that I'll be doing because we have multiple Game Pass users in the house. I do think it's going to cost a little more, although I don't know what pounds are, so don't give me this 9 pounds more. What is that? Is that dollars? I don't know what that means.
Just means it weighs more.
I think it's the equivalent.
It's about $9, right? $10.
Well, no, I think
it's less than ever now, right? Pounds?
So I put that in there because I think it means it's going to be double what we're currently paying for Game Pass Ultimate. Like it's about double. But the catch is you get to share that with friends. You don't even have to share it with people in the same household. It can be just like us or whatever. Like us four can just have a membership and just Venmo each other the amount, and it'll be way cheaper than
you
doing
basically
one
just
Game
give
Pass
permission
Ultimate.
for that account to have access to this family Game Pass.
It's like the
Switch
Spotify family plan.
Switch does the same thing. You can have a Switch family plan for the Switch Online service.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could already share Game Pass, right? Because like I basically have Game Pass under my name, and then my wife can just access Game Pass like through her profile. So
I think the Spotify comparison is really apt, Jeff, because it's exactly what it is. I'm part of a Spotify family plan with like 8 people like across the United States. So
yeah,
I
can see this being handy. Like for example, my son who has got his own Xbox with his own account. He does have his own separate Game Pass access, and I think it's because if I'm using on my PC or either logged in and my kids are using it downstairs, he has trouble getting his to connect properly, and like who's assigned in, and does he have to be signed in as me and as him? It does get real messy when you've got multiple people accessing it from multiple devices. So he has his own. As soon as we signed up him for his own, it was like that cleared up, and he's got his own. So we'll definitely.
It would make sense for you guys, and it would make sense for me too, because my brother has an Xbox that he and his son play, and so like they have different Xboxes. So like one is a regular one is a One X. And then, of course, PC. So,
So
it
you
makes sense
anticipate,
for,
like,
it would make sense for us to
double-ish.
share it, like, and then just split the cost or whatever.
I might
Like
do it with my
double the-
roommate. Like, I think
roughly
Yeah.
that
double the
makes no
cost.
sense not
So
to.
basically, let's pay for 2 of these, and then you can have up to 5 join it. So that's pretty good
Yeah.
if you think of
Yeah.
it that way, right?
Yeah, it's 5 total. Yeah, exactly.
And you're roughly paying for 2 if this price.
Yeah,
ends up
and
playing
it's
the
and
other
it's to clarify, it's also it's not just regular Game Pass. Like
It's
this
Ultimate.
this buys you Ultimate, which means everything on PC, EA
Ultimate.
Play, all that stuff.
and the
So,
cloud,
Yeah.
and PC, yep, all that stuff.
exactly.
Which again, I know cloud. We scoff at it. We've made fun of it here on the show, but
Well,
as I
some
mentioned,
people love it. I don't know.
Steam, I got to tell you, it works surprisingly well in some circumstances with the right connection. I'll say that.
My roommate got the PlayStation one, and he was playing one of the Naruto games. It's a pretty frame intensive game.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't notice anything, any
No?
slowdown or
Really,
anything like that.
that's
Yeah.
great.
I'm also
really
not the
interesting.
guy. I'm also not the guy because like I typically don't recognize that stuff. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's my eyeballs or whatever, but like usually frame rate is something I can't even tell.
I don't notice until I've been kind of really used to one, and then I switch
Mhm.
back to maybe a slower.
Yeah,
Like,
if I played it back to back, maybe I would, or if something pointed someone out. But like that, this is not really my domain. But for me, playing like a what I would call a frame heavy game in one of these Naruto fighting games, I was pretty impressed that it was playing so smoothly.
That's cool.
That is cool. Well, Nintendo, I don't have any official news from them. I actually looked. There's a couple different Nintendo news sites that I check out, and most of them are just kind of previewing games we knew about already. So nothing major. There is a lot of talk about a potential upcoming Nintendo Direct. We haven't really had a full-on Direct from them in a little while. At least not like a major Nintendo Direct or really hearing
Yeah.
new stuff. I understand why. They've got a pretty full slate of games for the rest of this year. And then they still have some early 2023, we think, games like of course Breath of the Wild 2, which is still slated, I think, for like first half of the year at least,
Never coming
maybe.
out. It's never coming out.
Never gonna happen.
Kyle,
Forever.
don't you fucking
The
dare.
delays are.
Hey,
I'm sorry, dude. I
it's
don't
the
make the
Dalai
rules,
Lama.
man.
The
The
Dalai
Dalai
Lama.
Lama. Yeah.
So anyway, there's a lot of rumors about a Direct that might air this September even. That's going to feature Wind Waker and Twilight Princess coming to Switch. Hey, listen,
Yeah, I saw
That'd be great. I would replay both those, especially Wind Waker. I would replay.
Twilight Princess is a little bit of a slog, but it's the one I haven't beaten. I would love to beat that game one day because I think there's enough elements in that game that are like good. It's just
Twilight Princess is fantastic, but it is certainly like
my
not my favorite
problem
Zelda,
with it.
but
It's
it's
like
great.
it's 4 hours of you being the wolf before you can like break
Yeah.
out of that that early game loop or whatever, and like that sours me every time I play it for whatever reason. But
It already
man,
soured me, and you just talking about it. That's
yeah,
kinda
yeah,
crazy.
right. But the
dude,
second you
they-
get to the like open world area or whatever, like I have really good memories of like on the
time.
Wii waggling my way through that game. Like I have good memories of it. But like I never saw that game through to the end. It's one I've always wanted to beat.
I did
so.
finish that one and I love it. I actually think
Yeah?
that
Yeah,
the story
cool.
ended up being quite good. And
I
then
hear the same. Yeah.
the way it
Okay, so-
balances out Link and Wolf, and Wolf Link or whatever over time works great. They do a really great job
I'm
with
glad
it.
that balances out.
You
That
are
sounds-
right. At the beginning, it is a bit of a slog, and the visuals weirdly don't help. It's very kind of shadowy, and like there's always ash.
It's
falling
it's
from the
muddled.
sky. It's
But it's the Wii,
It's supposed to be dark, and it's a darker game too. But they did lean in a
but
little hard.
you
on...
combine the dark aesthetic with the I don't want to be the wolf anymore element of playing the game. It does kind of feel a little bit like I'll do something else. Wind Waker on the other hand is just like pure cartoon brought to life.
I love Wind Waker, and that's
Yeah.
one that like I remember the world hated when it came out, but we all love it now. It's so weird to me that like the revisionist history of that game is one of like it's Hadron Collider levels of conspiracy theory to me, where I'm just like, no, I was there. We all hated this game when it came out, like, and not, not me specifically, but like I just remember the talk, but like now it's like one of the most beloved, Zeldas ever, and I'm glad it got its moment. I'm not trying to be a bummer about that, but like I was there. I remember people hated this game.
It was all made worse by that other demo that they showed before that. I don't know if you remember, Kyle.
Yeah, no.
Ganon and Cloud are like not Cloud, sorry, Link.
Cloud,
Final Fantasy on the brain.
Yep.
Would they like
it
lunge
was
at
a
each
tech
other?
demo for the GameCube.
Same person,
and not to get
whatever.
too into the weeds
Same
of this,
thing.
but to explain why the backlash was so hard on that is we got Ocarina of Time, which is a pretty dark game. And then we got that GameCube tech demo, the one that you're talking about, Dan, with like, you know, it was like the Ocarina of Time aesthetic, and you're like, oh my god, this is gonna be
And
the
it
next
looked
Zelda.
really good.
And then a year later, you got this like watercolor,
Yep.
chibi looking, weird, you know,
Link,
like
yep.
aesthetic or whatever, and people like just turned on it. But like that game is amazing. I would love to play that game again. That it's one of the greats, you know. So
Very
so
unique.
fun.
wonderful music in that game.
They introduced some stealth elements too that wasn't really
They
present in the series a lot. All right, so Mafia, potentially that franchise could be having a new game in development. Of course, still years away, but I really enjoy that franchise, especially with
Mafia.
the kind of definitive editions they've put out. The first
This
one
was announced
second one.
by the developer
Oh, really? Okay, great.
for the
So it's not a
20th
rumor.
anniversary. Yeah, it's
Okay.
not a rumor.
So yeah, I do think if you
Not a
if you
rumor.
like
Not a rumor.
I don't
It's
even
not
like-
a rumor.
It's
not a
rumor.
I don't even like comparing this to Grand Theft Auto because it's not super open world. Like the worlds
No.
aren't massive.
No,
Actually, the second game has almost a little bit of a arcade feel to it at times, especially in the DLC when you like you
Yeah.
actually like get high scores and stuff. You can go back and try to beat in the second one. But anyway, all that to say,
I haven't played enough of the second one. I did beat the
Two's
remake
amazing.
of the first one.
They're great.
The first one is
You would love.
it's just
to-
linear. It's just
two's great.
And
They're
follow
two,
the
back-
two's still pretty linear. Like there
two
might be a
ties
little like
into
I
one in
can.
some cool ways.
It does, yeah. And in
that's the
fact,
sense I got with two.
they
is that it's more
redid the
linear.
end of one, so it tied into
Yep.
two better. So yeah.
And
I would
then
highly suggest playing
three is
two.
pretty detached outside of the fact that there
Yeah.
are some connections. There's some pretty clear character and story connections,
Yeah.
of course.
And it's more open world, traditional open world.
Way
It
more
is.
open
It is
world.
way more things to do in the open world. Where
Yeah.
two is
So-
still pretty linear. It's like, hey, I just need to go to the
Okay.
next story mission.
That's
This-
another
this-
oversight game for me is 2 and 3 for sure.
Yeah, definitely worth going back to at some point if you haven't played those. But I will say this is one of those games I'm like, ooh, I bet you they'll use Unreal Engine 5, and I bet you it's going to be amazing,
Yeah.
or something equivalent. You know, so it's going to
Yeah,
be
I
great.
agree.
Need for Speed. Anybody care about Need for Speed?
Me, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay,
Hell yeah.
okay. So there's
Yeah, I was
a
gonna
work
say
in
I was looking
progress
forward to that
footage.
one.
that was leaked apparently, but I do know that this game was like, I thought it was announced or wasn't
I
there
don't
something
remember
about-
it being announced.
I don't. You know, my mind's hazy about anything Need for Speed. I feel like I haven't heard
There's
anything in a long
there's a
time. to be
rumor-
honest.
There's
I'm
a
thinking
rumor that
something else.
they're bumping it back at least to December, if not late. But like December, that seems like way too soon. We don't know.
Wait,
enough.
are we actually getting one this year?
It's
Real-
been in like the calendar on
But
like
but we don't-
Wikipedia and stuff.
Do we even know what it is?
Forever.
That's because it was announced. There
no.
was a Need for Speed game announced, but I don't think we saw.
it was.
What
I
kind of a
thought-
game is it? Though?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
yeah.
a
And I think
Yeah.
it's
street racing.
There's no way it's gonna
or,
make
like,
December. There's
I
no
think
way.
so.
Is another cop chasing one? Like
I think
like
so.
there's so many different types of Need for Speed games now. Like what
It looked-
kind of
the
game is it?
footage-
I wonder.
I caught a glimpse of it and I can't even remember it. It was so forgettable. I'm so sorry. It's something with a cop chasing some. Yeah, there's definitely cop mechanics and stuff in this one. Whatever, man.
Yeah,
If we
and
get
I
it, we
think-
get it. If
I
we
think
don't,
the-
we don't.
Whatever.
I think the big thing was that Criterion Games is coming back, and I think they're one of the main ones because they did Burnout Paradise, right?
Yeah, can I
If I'm
just
not
be
mistaken.
really honest? I love Criterion Games doing Burnout games. Ever since they entered the Need for Speed universe, Need for Speed
Mm.
has been an awful franchise.
Ooh,
That's
All
my
right.
hot take. Sorry,
There you go.
everybody.
Oof.
Yeah, sorry.
Oof.
I don't have a strong rebuttal or support for that.
Me neither.
Because
But
I'm
I
right.
remember
That's
playing-
because I said a
I remember
factual thing,
playing
and
a
y'all are like,
game-
"Wow, that just rang true." I don't have any rebuttal.
I remember
Because I
playing
said a factual thing.
I remember playing a Need for Speed with you, Kyle, online. I can't remember which one it was now. I can't even remember which one it was. They all
I
kind of
can't
bleed
either.
together.
Yeah, they all
It's
bleed
probably
together
the-
for me. I'm the fan, and they all bleed
It's
together.
probably the
for
Fast
me.
and Furious one because you guys are family. That's probably which one it was.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
about
God damn it.
family.
Hey, listen,
we're
guys.
still DVD players, all right?
Listen, I know it's no longer cool to be a fan of anything Ubisoft makes. I get it. But I'm still excited to hear about the next Assassin's Creed game when they announce it this coming week at their Ubisoft Forward. I'm sorry that I'm not cool and that I still like big corporation games like Assassin's Creed and
Yeah,
Far Cry.
Ubisoft's the only big corporation making games right
They're the
now.
only
You're
one.
right.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Right.
You're
Companies
right,
like
you're right,
Atlas, they're not a big company making lots of money.
Yeah,
no.
right.
But anyway, all that to say, Mirage, of course, Assassin's Creed Mirage did leak. They did confirm this is the next game. We're going to tell you more about it at Ubisoft Forward. Ubisoft has the leakiest company.
It's on
It's
purpose.
leakiest.
I don't believe that it's not on
Like a
purpose.
faucet over there.
Is there any truth? Have y'all heard this? I saw in the group,
Yeah.
and people are way more informed about this than me, but like people in the group are saying that like they're gonna drop all the RPG elements and it's gonna be more traditional. Like,
That's
is
what
that
they were-
right?
That's what they're saying.
That's what they were saying.
Okay, so that is an actual rumor.
That is,
okay,
that
it's not
is
just
rumors
somebody.
at this point, but
Okay.
It's a rumor.
Ubisoft did say this is the title and it is in Baghdad, so some of that has been validated. So I would not be surprised if that was validated too.
Yeah.
Can I say another hot take? That's because I'm full of them today. I actually like the Assassin's Creed series when it has RPG elements, so that's kind of sad for me.
I actually kind of do too.
I think
like
it's good. It's just then I guess maybe with the last two games, it's just the world has been even more ridiculously huge and like
Yeah,
even more,
I agree with
more
that,
elements
you
of
know.
RPGs.
And there's quite a bit of details that have been rumored as part of a leak, if you will, about the scope of it, where it's like, you know, the Baghdad map's going to have 4 districts. Baghdad's the only city. Each district has its own boss.
Sounds like a mobile game.
The scope of it
Does, yeah, I'm with Tim.
the scope of it feels like
Same.
I don't know. It feels like somebody like me could actually beat. Like,
Yeah,
Listen,
and
all
I
you have
actually
to do is
don't
not be
mind
100
like
hours.
stripping back. I actually don't mind stripping back some aspects
Yeah.
of it, but like
It
I
just
hope-
log in every day. You get your assassin's gems. You can upgrade
Yep.
your armor. Like that's how it's gonna work. It's gonna
Yep,
be a mobile
absolutely.
game.
You can upgrade
do
your
your
Brotherhood
dailies.
base by
Do your
doing
dailies.
Yeah.
Listen,
absolutely.
I have no problem with this because I've enjoyed the Assassin's Creed franchise, whether it's been like the old school games with Ezio, whether it's been the newer trilogy, I guess, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. I enjoyed those. I love the deep RPG elements. I also enjoyed the side-scrolling ones that were just kind of action
Those are
stealth
fun. Yeah.
side-scrolling games, and
I like
they
the
didn't.
I like the Chinese one a lot. I forget
The
which one
China
that
one was great.
Yeah,
The
that
one
one
that said
was awesome,
India
yeah.
was great.
China,
So-
was good. Oh, yeah,
China's
India.
great.
China.
India,
Great
China.
people.
great game for
So-
great
game.
setting for Assassin's Creed. The best
So
setting.
I'm curious what
USSR.
they reveal. I would not be surprised if this has so it's not a full Assassin's Creed game. It's releasing in spring. They usually do holiday releases for their major like tentpole Assassin's Creed games. So I don't think this is the next this is the follow-up to Valhalla. I
No.
think this is a Division Heartland version. You know, they're doing that too with the divisions.
right.
I think that's what this is. I could be wrong.
That's what it sounds like to me. And also, I love that. Well, I love that they're going to try, and I feel like current gen hardware can get them there. But they're going to try doing huge NPC crowds again, much like they try with Assassin's Creed Unity. But that was like a big game-breaking thing with Unity, like that people kind of shat
Yeah.
on the game for. So maybe current gen hardware will get them where they want to be
Yeah,
in terms
the
of big
very
crowds.
first game had like industry-defining crowd mechanics for its
Yes.
time. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like
I feel like Brotherhood
I-
maybe.
The
I can
second
under-
one was
I
the first
can
one I played, and they had
understand-
it too. That was
yeah, the
incredible.
second one had that too. So I can understand the want to get back to that, where it's like, let's get back to the basics, back to the things we can really push the system by consolidating maybe square footage, but
Make Assassin's
really
Creed
feeling
great
it, you know?
again. Make
Listen,
it great
guys,
again.
I sat down with Assassin's Creed last week. It's a good guy. He's a great guy. All right.
Great. I sat down with
He
Mr.
just wants to get
Creed.
back to being great
Scott
again. You know?
Stapp told me it's gonna be a great
I gotta
game.
be honest, it hasn't been good since Assassin's Creed 3, because Assassin's Creed 3 was in America.
Listen,
It's gotten
listen.
too ethnic.
I want to talk about the
Wow.
aliens.
Too
all right?
accurate, Dan.
Assassin's Creed needs to have aliens
Right.
again, just like Assassin's Creed 3.
I like
Listen,
how Kyle.
there
Kyle's
are
gonna
great
take back
assassins. I walked in, I
Assassin's
said-
Creed 3.
I said, "Wow, look at these great assassins."
Look
Uh,
at
These are such great assassins.
look at all these such great assassins.
Just the best. They're just the best at what they
It's true.
You
do.
could kill
Room's
somebody
full
right
of
now, and I
great
wouldn't be able to
assassins.
know. I wouldn't know.
This room is
I wouldn't
full
know.
of great assassins. I walked in, I said, "Wow, what great assassins!"
Listen,
right,
people come up to me all the time and go, I want Assassin's Creed to go to Japan. No, not a great country. No, we're never doing Japan. Negative.
They're really poor over there.
All right, now that we've covered
Poor
the
country,
Assassin's
Japan.
Creed Trump barrage,
Jeez, what a combination of things there. Like,
Speaking of Japan,
that
did the
was a
segue for you.
culmination. That was
There
a
you go.
culmination right there. Yakuza is
Culmination.
going to be apparently showing a sneak peek trailer during a stream they're going to have next week for the Like a Dragon sequel.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? I didn't
It
know
could
that.
be.
I actually didn't know this one.
it could be that they're working on a new IP and a Like a Dragon sequel, so we don't know yet.
Well,
Oh, we
we
don't-
know they
don't-
announced the new Like a
sequel.
Dragon sequel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we don't. Yeah, that's true.
There might be a
I
new
missed-
IP
we
too.
don't know
yeah.
if it's. We don't know if it's what it's going to be.
Oh,
sneak
what it's
peek.
going to focus on. I got you.
It's going to give us a sneak peek of something. Maybe a sneak peek of something totally unrelated. We have no idea. So we'll see. Konami, though, speaking of a company that's going to apparently show something on,
Kyle,
they are
Don't-
suggesting.
Dan,
Yeah.
stop
Come
it.
on,
Could
come
you
on.
Sit back and chill out.
Hey, listen, if I just stop here, everyone thinks that Dan just loves Konami now. 'Cause
Yeah,
he's-
No,
yeah.
no,
That's
Dan is a
Konami
that's what it feels
apologist.
like to me too. You know?
No, I love Metal Gear
Uh,
Solid like Kyle.
We're not
So-
getting that. That's not happening.
So Konami said that a new game from a series that is loved around the world is being announced at TGS.
I don't want them anywhere near that.
No, listen, like the suits can go rotten hell, literally. I want them to literally rotten hell. But the devs there, if they still have souls and they still can make games, if they can
They
piece
do
this
have
together,
souls,
Kyle,
but they're dark.
Can you
They
just
have
put
dark
Metal Gear
souls.
Solid back on like the marketplaces so I can buy them as is and just leave that alone? Just leave it alone.
But what if it's just a collection of what exists
I'm
there?
here for
and they're
that.
just
Yeah, I'm here
piecing
for
it
that.
together?
Especially if it's like 4 and some of the old.
Yeah, like the whole.
like the
Yeah.
original collection. I had like the original.
Yeah.
You know
like,
what?
Metal
I
Gear
did
1
read
and 2
another
on
headline that
Nintendo.
was like
Yeah,
that was
here for
like,
that.
hey, Metal Gear remasters are
that
coming.
was
Yeah.
that was rumored, I think, like almost a year ago, and now
Yeah.
it's starting to surface again. Those rumors,
Right.
and then this was announced, so
It
people are freaking
validates
out.
But
that
there
it
was-
feels a little real that they're
There
doing
was a
that.
clarification though that sources, take that as you want, said that the reveal would not be related to the biggest classic franchises that they have. So it may not be Metal Gear related.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I
Also-
took that.
Wait, so what's
Also-
a B tier Konami series that we're
Suikoden.
Castlevania? Oh, it's Suikoden. Okay, sure.
I would say Castlevania is at the top tier along with
But is
Metal
it
Gear
well,
Solid.
right? Because
Yeah.
they're saying loved
Yeah.
around the world. So unless they're just oblivious to whatever the hell
That's
they're
gotta be
saying,
Castlevania or Metal Gear.
I
don't
feel
know.
like those are there, or Silent Hill.
Silent.
People have wanted the new
Yeah,
Silent. People
you're
have
right.
been
You're
clever.
right. You're right about that. Yeah,
They're like,
you're right.
what are you doing? Make a
that.
new Silent Hill. Like,
Be that. Or it could be Hybrid Heaven 2. Anyone else play that Konami gem from N64?
guys.
Hybrid Heaven 2? Anybody?
No.
I don't
I think you
remember.
just made up
I-
2 words and put
Yep.
a number at the end
Yep.
of it. That's what
You
I
put
think.
that's a very Japanese sounding title, so it sounds real. So I don't know.
So it's a game all about just driving electric cars in heaven. No, it's not what it's about at all. It is a.
We're driving Teslas now. That's the thing.
It's no, that is. I'm not kidding. That is actually a strangely compelling gem of a game from the N64 area that no one I've ever met has played. Like it's
Oh.
one of those games that I got for Christmas because I rented it. I loved it. Got it for Christmas. Played the crap out of that game. No one else played Hybrid Heaven.
I gotta
It's
be
like,
honest, those are my favorite games where I look back on and I go, did I make that up?
yeah.
Because
It's
like
a-
I've never
Yeah.
known
Dude, it's
anybody who's played it.
it's
You know?
Let me sell this to you real quick. I gotta do an elevator pitch for Hybrid Heaven, okay?
Please.
Because it probably looks and plays horribly now. Think N64, very
Sure.
polygon, very kind of probably ugly now. But like it's got pieces of X-Files because it's set in the real world with the American
X-Files?
president involved in some kind of conspiracy, and you are, I forget exactly who you're, an agent, or at some point even you're connected with like this
He's an
Native
agent.
American chief guy who's like trying to help you solve this conspiracy. And there's aliens involved. There's lots of aliens you fight, but the combat is one-on-one in a 3D space, and you kind of hit forward, left, right, or back to kind of either shift your stance forward or back. You kind of like are shifting, and then you
Yeah.
do a
Hmm.
combination of like jujitsu and sometimes, I'm not even kidding, wrestling moves. Like you can unlock moves like a suplex and stuff as you play.
Wow. What
I gotta
the
be
hell?
honest, dude. I'm in.
Are you
It's-
sure this isn't like a Mandela effect type
It's
thing?
wacky.
Like,
It's whack.
dude, this is. I saw this on
I'm
Google.
all
and
in.
I saw this on Google Images. It's like the thumbnail of a YouTube video. What is that? What is
That's
happening?
it.
What is happening there?
look
is
he's dancing. That's
wacky.
what it looks-
He
Or
looks
that's
like
his
he's-
wiener.
he's-
I don't know.
He's obviously kicking everybody.
But-
Come on.
I loved that game. I thought it was
I think
great
he's got
because
a
it's
boot
also
on his wiener.
it also is like a little
Yeah.
bit pre-BioWare in that like when you hit the attack, everything freezes. Like you're kind of moving around in real time, and then it pauses while you pick what attack you're gonna do based
so
on what the
bizarre.
enemy's doing. So
Interesting. Interesting.
it's a weird combo of stuff, man. Anyway, Konami, maybe that's what it is. Hybrid Heaven 2. All right, Gotham Knights. We saw there was a new video that I actually haven't watched yet. I know Kyle and maybe Dan watched.
I haven't seen
Go-
it either. I was
Gotham
I
Knights.
was waiting for this exact moment when they could educate me on it.
Yeah, so there's an info dump, a video format that just came out, how co-op works, open world, all that stuff. What do you guys think of what they showed?
So first off, the co-op was the thing that always interested me. I needed to know how it worked. I didn't quite understand how that was gonna be a thing or whatever. So the co-op, let's just say I'm the game host, all right? Tim, you want to jump in with me? And we play what they call like a night of the game.
Mhm.
During that night of the game, there's certain crimes that are going on and everything like that. And you and I can tackle those crimes separately, or together or anything like that. But when we're doing that, we're making progress in my game. However, if we crack a case together and we're able to like go fight a boss and we complete that
case.
boss, which is considered
Yeah.
a main mission, when you go back to your game and you complete that night, when you get to that boss or that main mission level, it'll ask you, much like in a Borderlands-like fashion, hey, you've done this, you want to just fast forward.
Which
However,
is super cool.
However, you have to do your night of crime because it wants to make sure
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you did the same like kind of things like on your open world map to kind of like abate, because every night's different. If you leave a crime unabated, tomorrow night, whenever the night cycle like shifts, and I'll get into that later, that crime will become bigger and more of a nuisance. And the more you kind of ignore it, the bigger of an issue it becomes and everything like that, spreading across the map, however that looks like. The day-night cycle works in that like the day only happens when you're walking around in the hub area, which is the Bat Tower or the Belfry or whatever they call it.
The Belfry.
And there's like all like your mission windows and like what crimes are available, what you're going after, who you're going to play as, yada yada, setting up all your costumes, adding all your RPG element additions and stuff like that, you know. And then you go out when you go out into the world, it's night again. So you're never playing during the daytime or anything like that. The daytime just kind of it's like your planning phase or whatever. But again, anything you didn't do last night, like there's consequences that lead into the next day, you know. So like it wants you to kind of stop and do everything and do everything. Now some things obviously you don't have to do everything in one night, like the collectibles and everything like that. But like it seems like there's some carry with those crimes, and I just think that sounds so cool. It sounds like the game is asking you to interact with this world that they built for you, and it sounds like they put a lot of TLC into this world. You know, we were just talking a couple weeks ago about like the 400 years of like history that they built into this world. And they just really want you to be existing in Gotham, and it feels like it's important and everything. So much so that like they didn't want to instance off main missions. So like sometimes in the Arkham series, like you'll enter an area, and that area is only available when you're on that mission. You know what I mean? It's this playground they built so like the boss can like do its thing or whatever. And this game, like as an example, as they use in this video, is when you're fighting. I always call him Sub-Zero because I'm dumb, but it's Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze, yeah.
Like you don't instance off into an area, you're just fighting him in the world and he's freezing the whole world, and there's lasting things that impact the world forever after that boss fight that stick around and everything like that. So it's just like it just feels like a world that you're like that's evolving via your choices, your ignorances or anything like that. And man, every time they go into a deep dive for this game, I feel like they pull away a layer of something that like is really interesting. And I feel like this is a game that like no one in the media at least is very excited about. So it's very strange to me that this game's not getting a lot of love.
It's starting to feel like the videos are like almost out of obligation. Like I'm like super hyped about this game like you are, Kyle.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sensing that from the media. Like
no, I don't sense that from the media at all.
The developer kind of told us to put this out there, so it's out there now.
So, yeah, even this video that I'm talking about, it's like they didn't let us go hands-on with it, so I can't really tell you what it's like. However, we worked with them to show you this video. I'm like, did y'all sound more enthusiastic about it?
But I think it's doing its job though, because like on the other side of that, with people on social media and everything, it seemed like a lot of them were cynical about this game. Like for example, recently they had released that small clip of Nightwing fighting Harlequin, and people were like, what is this? He's like using like Sub-Zero powers, like he's using ice power, and then he does this flash move thing. People were like this seems cartoony. But then this posted, and I was looking in the comments just out of curiosity, and it was actually mostly positive.
Good.
It was mostly positive. They're like, oh, I'm actually hyped now. Like they're actually explaining
positive IGN comment sections are a rare thing.
Yeah,
so that's
a miracle. It's a miracle. But yeah, I really liked like how you were saying with the dynamic stuff. Like I like that you can like find a thug and like interrogate him, get some information, and then you go somewhere else. And then you get there and you're like, oh shit, like this boss is here. Like I stumbled across this boss.
Which is interrogating was already part of, if the story demanded it, it was already part of the Batman games.
So
so the fact that they're making it more of a thing is awesome.
Well, now everything's an investigation. So when you're going and busting crimes and doing this and doing that, you're piecing together clues. And when you get enough of them, it'll be like, wow, this clue, it looks like Clayface is running this whole operation. Let's go into a mission to go like fight Clayface or whatever.
Let's go punch some Clay.
But the cool thing is that like, let's just say like I want to do all the story missions by myself because I want to focus on the story and I want to like watch the cutscenes or whatever. It's easy to be like, hey Jeff, do you want to jump in I'm on night 4 right now. I got a lot of crime to clean up. Do you want to like jump into my game, get some experience for your character that you bring back into your game, you know,
exactly,
and all your gear and everything that you unlock and everything like that. Help clear out my map, you know, with my crimes and everything like that. and then you can screw off so I can listen to like the cutscenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
you
Like,
can screw up.
you know, like
We'll probably
that
each
I,
other's games, I imagine.
yeah, exactly. And then we'll jump into your game. We'll do that, you know. And I feel like that's pretty cool because I can always like, and everything levels up around you. So like the enemies match your level. So if I'm jumping into Jeff's game, but I'm a higher level, they'll still be a match for me. You know, it's very Borderlands. Like the co-op is extremely Borderlands.
That's
you
what I'm
know,
getting.
and it's tenant.
I mean, that's the way to do it. That's one of the most beloved co-op experiences.
I
out
think
there.
Now,
they
I think
do the
I think
best,
this is
you know,
deciding
co-op.
for me because the 21st is a very busy day with Scorn
Yeah.
and New Tales from the Borderlands. I think this is
Scorn.
deciding for me when I'm going to play more that day. And that's got to be this game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guys. By the way, just a reminder, put in the calendar. You need to ask off work that day because that day is crazy.
I already did. I
That's
was
for
like,
damn.
screw this. I'm taking 3 days off that week. It's ridiculous because Plague Tale comes out Tuesday.
Love it.
Too much.
Yeah.
It's too much that week.
And also I scored some studio time for those days off.
Did
too.
you score?
I'll be busy.
That's
busy.
Scorn.
Did you
scorn
score?
some
I'm not
Somber
gonna
tapestries.
comment on that.
Well, a game
ridiculous-
that I'm kind of glad got moved out of this holiday is Hogwarts Legacy. Like, give me some space to play this other stuff because now that can be. Unfortunately, it sounds like another busy season of February. But that's okay. Like February 10th, that's a good release date window for that. And I really am looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy.
Same.
Quidditch is not sounding like it's gonna be playable. I don't know if it's not in the game at all or just you can't play
It's
it.
strange, right?
Yeah, the
very
developer
Isn't that the
confirmed it's
thing?
not a thing in the
It's
game.
not a thing that
But
you
that's
can play.
like the Harry Potter thing, though.
It is.
That would be like, hey, we're making a Star Wars game, but there's no lasers.
No lasers.
Like at
There's no
all. No
lasers.
laser guns, no laser swords.
Making a Final
zero
Fantasy game,
lasers.
there's
be
no
more like-
chocobos.
It'd be more like if they did a Star Wars game without any lightsabers. Like you'd be like,
Yeah,
wait,
sure.
so there's no Jedi in this game then?
Dude, that's
it's-
like Star Wars Galaxies, the
Sith.
MMO. That's what that was. There was like
Mm.
no Jedi in that Star Wars Galaxies.
until they updated it and everyone
Until
was a Jedi.
and it was, then
I
it
was
got
gonna say, don't
stupid.
people love that when
They
there's
get
no,
dumb.
you know,
They do, yeah.
Force users?
So anyway,
do.
so
They
Quidditch,
prefer
I
to.
feel like they could have, in my head at least, it was kind of like, oh, this could be like Blitzball, Final Fantasy X style. Do Blitz
Yeah.
Ball.
Everybody loves
one of the
Blitzball.
best
Yeah.
mini games.
Absolutely. I'm
guess
not
they couldn't-
being sarcastic.
I don't know.
I guess
I
they
liked
couldn't
it.
find a
not
way
I
to
know.
make it.
People like it. I know. Yeah.
I guess they couldn't find a way to develop it for the game without delaying the game by 3 years or something. I don't really
Think
know
about-
what happened.
think
there,
about
but
moving
they
around
put
in a
a Quidditch player
completely-
in the first trailer, so I don't.
Think about moving
Yeah,
around in a
I
completely
felt like
3D
we saw
space.
Quidditch
Yeah.
in the trailers, so
Yeah.
There are separate, like, actual right? Wasn't there on the PS2? There was like a Quidditch game, maybe PS3
Yeah.
I
also.
don't
Like,
remember
even
that.
if it's not
Pretty
like a
bad,
fully
though.
realized thing, to not
Yeah.
have it at all just
It
seems
could
so
be an
bizarre to me.
expansion.
It could
That
be an
would be
expansion. You
DLC.
could have a whole
DLC.
thing that's a Quidditch.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Also, it says that it's not playable. That doesn't mean that maybe you can't join Quidditch and then there's some automated things that happen for Quidditch. It's just not playable.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's true. That's
so
true.
anyway, it could be one of those things that they just couldn't get the game.
Yeah, because
played.
As long as
this
it's
whole
like-
thing is like a career simulator, except in high school, obviously,
Yeah.
or school.
Yeah.
So that's got to be an element of it. Is you join
it's
Quidditch and
quick
become
time
a star,
events.
whatever.
Quick time events, maybe. You know,
Could be quick time events.
Maybe, but it sounds like it's
I
not
don't know.
playable to a full sports game effect, which is fine, I
Yeah.
guess. I
Boy,
don't know.
we don't
It
have
just
enough
seems weird to
time.
me, man.
It
I
is
don't know.
weird.
That's
It is a weird
one
thing
me.
to omit.
But we're making an NFL game, but there's no football. You know?
All right, guys. Well, I know some of you are
Yeah,
still waiting
Just
for
the story
this.
mode.
You're still waiting for your Steam Deck email. I've been enjoying my Steam Deck quite a bit. It's funny that Valve already says that the next gen Steam Decks are planned. I'm like, great, that's awesome. I just feel like I just got
Yeah, I
mine.
know.
Everyone's
People are
waiting for
still
theirs.
like waiting for their emails.
That stuff
Um,
makes me mad.
But it's one of those things where it's like, if you are planning it, don't talk about it yet. People don't even like the first.
Oculus
Yeah.
did this too,
Yeah, don't
where
do
it's
it,
like,
but-
I know you guys are waiting for the Oculus 2, but we got big news for the next Oculus.
Just
I'm
wait.
like,
You're
dude,
gonna be
shut up.
able to.
Could you
just
shut up?
wait.
Like,
you're gonna be able to
Shut
fuck
up.
your Oculus 3. It's gonna
also,
be-
you have to pay $50
What?
more for these Oculuses. So.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm
But you
ordering
know what?
one right now. I'm
So
ordering
the
one right now.
I
prep
I
your
also,
wiener for 2025. when
Wait,
I
they
also
could do that all
comes
this
out.
time? I've had one for a long. I had no idea.
Kyle's like, I thought you could the whole time. There's already a. Anyway.
Explain that to the interior of my Oculus.
Yeah.
You go, you
Yeah.
go and tell him.
Yeah.
It actually feels like Gabe Newell is what it feels
if you
like.
if you think about the Steam Deck started coming out, what, February was the first shipment of those? Does that sound right?
I think
February.
so. Yeah, February. Yeah.
So now we're starting month 7 of this thing being out and still slowly kind of releasing its waves of releases. That sounds like they're getting almost to the end of their first big reservations, which is great. But anyway, so part of me understands like they're probably getting a ton of feedback on form factor and features and all kinds of things that people want. So I can understand why internally they're already like they probably already had their own wish list before it released, and
Yeah.
now with users confirming some things, maybe bringing up some new things, like I could see how they're thinking as hardware developers. We want to make sure that we're already thinking of what we're
Yeah.
going to do better
And I
than.
think this was just
Like,
an
get-
interview, like based on an interview with the lead designer at Valve who designed the Steam
I
Deck.
got it. Okay.
So like he
So he
was
just
like
said, "Yeah, no, we're
basically
working on it."
saying, yeah, he was basically saying that what's in the cards is, you know, the shape, size, and theme of it is going to be totally different, and we may even make it a streaming machine, which to me means you stream games and shows like from the dock or
Probably.
whatever.
Yeah.
I guess that's what that means. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
and to
know.
be fair, if you really want to get into the weeds of it, they are researching and developing the PlayStation 6 right now.
Oh,
They are
yeah.
researching and developing the Xbox, whatever, right now. So like this
Xbox
Nintendo's
Series
doing
Z.
nothing.
yeah,
look
they're
out,
all
yo.
they're all doing it. You know, it's just some guy at Steam goes, yeah, this is a thing. You know, like it's
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's any
just
closer.
one guy doing an interview
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
So
Still
anyway,
interesting, though.
that's not surprising,
Yeah.
but it's also it's kind of cool to know that they're to me the silver lining, the positive I'll take from this is that Steam Deck is doing really well, and
Yeah.
they're not planning on discontinuing.
slowing
Like a
down.
lot of
You guys,
like
they
a lot of hardware that comes out that's not Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony disappears, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, I bought into this thing. Where's my
Well,
Ouya support?
they
Where's my
tried
whatever
this.
support?
They just tried this a few years
Where's
ago
my
with Steam
Zoom
machines.
support?
Where's my
Yeah.
Zoom?
They tried this a few years ago with Steam machines, and
Steam
it totally failed. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like the
I
fact
ended
that
up
they're
just being
getting
crappy
like
computers.
they're checking it again, like they're taking a second crack at it, and it's a success. That's a good
Yeah.
story. It's supposed to
I
be
think
feel
so.
good.
So that to me, like the silver lining there is like, hey, this thing that I invested a good chunk of change in,
Yeah, the
I
fact
spend a
that
lot of
he
time
is-
with.
The fact that he's drawing up a blueprint for new designs is like
Yeah.
really telling. It's just, yeah.
Like
I'm
a good
hoping for the
example-
best for this, and
a
it
good-
continues to look like it's
A
gonna
good
play
example
out.
of this is earlier this week. I had finished work and on my computer, I fired up. I was playing a little bit more of Elden Ring, so I turned that on my PC, and then
Never
I was
heard
like,
of that
"Hey,
game.
it
Is
sounds
that a
like
new game,
my
or-
kids are downstairs watching TV. I'm gonna
Yeah.
turn it off here." It uploaded to the cloud. I grabbed my Steam Deck and went down, sat on the couch while they're watching Bluey, which is hilarious, by the way, hilarious kids show called Bluey. And so they're watching Bluey, and I just kept playing Elden Ring on my Steam Deck. I was like, "This is pretty freaking cool." Like it works as advertised. It's great.
Awesome.
So, all right. Until Dawn and Quarry Director says the next game will be just as big. Am I reading that correctly? All
Yeah.
right.
That's what
Could
they said.
could
yeah.
deviate from teen horror, but don't do that. Give us more teen horror.
Yeah.
And
Please
it's
stay with the Team Hoarder.
targeting about 3 to 4 year window from now. That's what they're looking at.
These
So,
guys
Yeah,
are cranking
and
out
this
these
is
games,
this
Good
is
for
like
them.
the Until Dawn and the Quarry guys. So that means their main titles, not a Dark Pictures
Yeah.
anthology. We turn one out every year type game.
Yeah.
This is a bigger, longer game.
Which those feel bigger every year too, though. You
Yeah.
know?
they do.
yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like you plan for this like you do a season of a show,
Yeah.
because the way you have
I-
to get the script and the
I
characters.
do hope. I agree with you, Tim. I do hope they don't deviate from teen horror, because there's something about being a teenager and making really dumb decisions in the moment that adds to the atmosphere of the game. Like if
Dude,
you
that
just make
made
it
the
old
Quarry
people or
work.
something, like
Yeah. That made the Quarry
I don't
work
know.
for me. Like some of the dumb stuff
Yeah.
that they would do and say, I was like, yeah, but they're
yeah, they're
teenagers / college
Yeah.
students. Like they're in
Yeah,
that realm. and
exactly.
it's-
It makes sense.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked really well. So anyway, all right. Anything else that you guys are playing or watching, or the headlines that you wanted to call out before we wrap things up with the Kahoot?
Dan, you mentioned Sifu. I'm curious to
Oh,
hear
yeah,
how
Sifu.
far you
Yeah,
got
I wanted to
that.
hear your seafood thoughts.
So I
yeah.
did the first. So you do the opening, which
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil because it's actually really cool. It's
So cool.
you,
Yeah, it's a clan at your dojo. Yes. Yeah.
Which I mean,
remember.
if you've watched enough karate movies and stuff, you're like, oh, it's this thing. Okay, I
Yeah,
get what
things
yeah.
go great and it's very happy. Yep.
Yeah, no,
No, it's
absolutely.
not a revenge story
Nothing-
at all.
your sensei is still alive. Totally
Yeah,
fine.
absolutely.
Your Sifu
Um,
is actually your best friend.
It's like a
dude.
Disney
So-
movie. Don't worry, the parents both live,
Yep.
guys.
And then the Disney song kicks in, and it's super
You
cool.
got a friend. Roll credits.
Singing
Shortest game.
squirrels.
Oh, so speaking of the credits, super dig the way they do the credits. So that like it's showing the names of like people who made the game, but like it's actually a tutorial, and it's
Mhm.
showing you basically all these
Very-
mofos
it's very
that you're gonna
cinematic,
take
yeah.
revenge on.
Yeah.
So yeah, very cinematic, very cool. And then it shows you like beat the leader, and then it says Sifu, and then obviously the game starts. You're like in your dojo or whatever, and you're gonna go on your quest for revenge.
Yep.
So I did that first level there. So I forget
First
the
boss,
guy's name.
right?
Yeah, the first boss.
Is that the one where the final fight is you're surrounded by bamboo trees and they're kind of
Yes,
teleporting?
the guy
a
with
little
the
bit?
machete.
Second phase. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
the guy
second
with the
phase of
machete.
it, yeah.
That guy is tough.
Took me
So
like
it's only
3
gonna get
tries.
harder.
Took me like 3 tries to get through all of that. I don't know if you guys
Okay.
did any better than
I don't
did.
know, man. I guess I'm just amazing because I finished that at 32 years old, so I'm just amazing.
Yeah, well, I think I'm at early 30s. So
Yeah. You're as
I was
amazing
also
as I
doing
am.
I was also doing it on stream, so I was trying to be cool and be like do the parries and kind of try.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to learn and time that
Yeah.
well.
It's
You want
tough
to-
when you're surrounded. It's really
You want it
tough.
to
Yeah.
look good in a game like that. You want your combat to look good.
Absolutely. But dude, it is. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm finally getting to it because it is so good. Like
It is.
it is
Yeah.
so
So
sick.
this is your first time playing it?
Yeah, completely.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
awesome, man. Yeah, that game
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah.
Game's great.
Yeah.
It's just so sick, and just like the way you really just feel the impacts of the hits when he's like doing the
You
combos
do.
of like finishing somebody off, and the lead pipe to like the side of
man.
the like the
Man, yeah.
neck.
When I
Getting
pick
the
up a
bow
weapon,
staff
I'm like,
for the
do not
first
come near
time.
me, dude. It feels so badass. Yeah.
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 Yeah, getting
it's
the
good.
bow fast for the first time was like it was exhilarating for me. I was
Yeah.
like, yes.
Yeah, what a cool game.
Yeah, it's just they a lot of attention to detail with the maneuvers and the movements and again the combos that he
Contextual
does.
environment. Like,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's really awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
great.
interesting to hear that you're playing Sifu because that was a January, February release,
It was
something
early.
like
It
that.
was very early.
Q1, Yeah.
Yeah, it was very
So
early.
so it was earlier this year. So I've also jumped back to some games that have already been out for a bit. You know, I mentioned I was playing a lot of Elden Ring, playing some Spider-Man, of course. I'm getting close to the end in that. And then
I think actually, Tim, I think you and I are actually in the same spot because I didn't touch that game all week because I
Uh-huh.
got to the point where everybody in the freaking city is hunting
Yeah.
you down.
yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm not in the mood for dodge every time I swing around. So that's when I started migrating to other games.
Yeah, just as rockets everywhere. Like
yeah,
it's
just
crazy.
sniper shots, rockets
Yeah,
everywhere. It's crazy.
I am
so great,
feeling like
though.
I'm having more success this time. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just more zoned in on the game this time.
Yeah, and you beat Miles Morales already too. So
I
I mean, I
did.
feel like that the mechanics
Skill
are kind
set's probably just higher, but
it's,
like
it's
yeah,
the same for me when I revisit these games. I'm like, oh, I remember all this, and like I just get better and better each time I play them.
yeah, it's really fun. I'm doing a lot more of the side stuff than I did last
Yeah.
time. So I'm having fun
Cool.
with it. And but yeah, nothing new that I haven't talked about recently on the show as far as playing, or watching for that matter. You know, still like we talked about a lot in the show. I'm still watching through Community when I have time. I still every once in a while will dip back into an old episode of Columbo and watching Lord of the Rings like we talked about earlier. So
Columbo, I gotta,
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch.
I'm still dipping
except
into Columbo. Yeah.
Me and Kyle are in the Expanse right now. He's further along than I am, but
Woo! Man.
I do want to watch Columbo eventually.
Did you
'cause
say
you're not
X pants or expanse?
X-Pants? Like it's about a
X-Pants,
story about your
guys.
former
It's-
pants that you
Yeah, I was
used to
gonna,
wear.
your
Yeah,
ex-girlfriend's
yeah.
pants.
And they're
thought you were
dirty to
saying-
other
Or boyfriend.
people. So like
I'm
homeless
in.
people. And
Okay,
stuff.
Kyle. I thought you said Kyle and I are in the X pants, and I was like,
Yeah,
how does that work
yeah.
with both of you?
Yeah,
All right.
you know, it's a
Don't worry
communal
about
thing,
it.
You
We
know?
know
All right,
it
it's
back
like you
and
guys
forth.
are a
It's not
couple
a
of
big deal.
whores.
I won't think about it. But this show, which is getting a Telltale game pretty soon. That's what this
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Based on the show.
Very soon. Yeah. Yeah, I get it now. Like at first I was like, oh, that's kind of
That's
weird that they're
awesome.
making like a game for this. Like I know it's a pretty popular show, but I'm like, that's kind of the world's really good. So of course
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
making like a game in this world, you know, like that totally makes sense to me. There's not much I can say about this show without like spoiling too much.
I
but,
would just explain the setup for the world.
yeah, I
because
mean,
there's a lot of details there.
Yeah, like what's the
you know,
deal? What's
it's
the deal with the expanse?
it's you know, I was saying in the chat, it's 3 different factions. You have like the Earth faction, and then you have the Mars faction, and then like I think the asteroid belt. I think I said the wrong thing. It's outside of Mars, so like it goes Earth, Mars, then the belt, and the belt being the asteroid belt that we all know about. That's in
Right,
between
right.
Mars and Jupiter. Is that the
Maybe
next?
Jupiter. I
The
don't know.
next-
I can't
yeah.
remember.
Did you guys
forget
hear
it.
that lightning? Did that come through my speaker?
Like I don't know if you can hear lightning. I don't know.
Mars is closer to
All
the
right, I
sun,
meant
isn't it?
thunder.
Okay, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Mom.
All right, semantical
okay.
Sally. Yeah.
Okay,
No.
the god of sparkles. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Isn't Mars closer to the sun? So it'd be Mars, Earth, and then the belt.
No, that's not right at all.
No?
Mars is out further.
Is it further?
Maybe.
Okay,
It
I had
is.
it backwards.
Right. Am I right?
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
there's no way of knowing, right?
I
There's
feel
no
like
way of knowing.
you've shaken me. I've made so many
Because
like.
Earth is the third rock from the sun. That's
Yeah.
because of the name of the show. I don't know how far out
See,
Mars is.
guys,
I can't remember.
Can we just pause to appreciate TV teaches us things?
Yeah, I
Third
don't.
rock.
I made several
Ah,
solar
ah.
system dioramas and I can't really
Earth,
remember.
Mars,
I know, me
and the
too.
belt. Earth, Mars, and the belt.
Okay, so it's Earth, then Mars, then the belt. Okay.
Well,
thank you.
I will
Thank
say
you,
the
Dan.
solar system's part of CRT, bro. You can't teach it anymore.
No, thank you, Dan. I'm really glad you looked it up because
I just for some reason I had that in my
all
head.
right, just to blow past this or whatever, you have the Earth, you have Mars, and then you have people who live in space stations on the belt.
Where's Uranus?
Yeah.
No,
And
I'm
the
gonna
belt-
need you to
belt.
share your screen and walk us through this.
The
I'm just
belt.
kidding.
Okay,
Please
so
don't.
let me. No,
Please don't do
So
that.
Metal Gear Solid
TED
is.
Talk. Here we go.
Lale Lule Lo.
Lale Lule Lo is part of the Mars Alliance. No. Okay, so the belt is like where everyone gets their minerals. So from asteroids you can extract water, you can extract iron, and all these other like things that like make the world and technology go around or whatever. And they call those people belters or whatever. And the belters call everybody on Earth and Mars the inners. You know what I mean? So like if you're part of one of those factions, you're an inner or whatever. So there's all this like cool sci-fi jargon and world building and stuff like that.
Belters are viewed as like. Am I taking this wrong? They're kind of viewed as extremists, right? Or
well, no. There's a portion of the belters called the OPA that are like extremist, all right, and they're the people who are trying to protect the rights of the belters, who are blue collar slave laborers. Let's just call them that. You know what I mean? Like they only exist because they're contracted by the other two alliances, and they get minerals and supplies.
They get nothing pay wise. They
get nothing in return.
Miserable.
To the point where like they live on space stations where like people who control the air can be like, we're gonna take a little air from this sector because like they're kind of people, so whatever. Maybe they don't get water this week. Like we're a little light on water. They just don't get water.
So it's got
totally
expendable political elements of sci-fi.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the. I hate to say this. This is gonna eye rolls induce or whatever. This is the game. This is the Game of Thrones of like sci-fi shows. It's family and faction based with lots of. This is what I mean by that. Like faction based with like political, really heavy overtones and stuff like that. Where
those were the best episodes of Battlestar Galactica, the newer version of it. I thought
1000%
were the ones that really kind of like we're gonna get our hands dirty with all this political split type stuff.
The first few episodes of that show is like how a teacher and like the person who runs education ends up being the president. Like that. That's how
that
deep
fascinating.
into
And how they get
fascinating.
And how they help the prisoners out to get them to vote, like all that stuff. Like that was very interesting.
Very much like that, Tim. So like when I say this is like my new favorite sci-fi show, that is the show it's supplanted as Battlestar Galactica for me. Battlestar Galactica was a new love for me.
I'm gonna go watch it.
The Expanse, it's so awesome.
Here's the thing that I would kind of caution people with The Expanse. It's doing the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power thing, where you have these stories that aren't really connected at the beginning. Yeah. But Kyle, I mean, you're further ahead than I am, obviously, but you have confirmed that later in season 1 they do start to connect more.
Yeah.
And it becomes a bigger deal, and it feels
there are
earned.
Multiple aha moments where people will say like the same ship name, and you're like, oh my god, they're looking for the same, whatever. They're gonna end up on the same planet together,
right? Because they are so separate.
It's
in the first, I'm halfway through the first season, and it's still very separate and segregated at that point.
Yeah. So it all comes together. I feel like the second season, I just witnessed an episode that was I sat back and I couldn't even pay attention to the next episode because so many amazing things. It was so good this episode, this hour of television, that it belongs on the Mount Rushmore of best hours of television ever. It was out of this world. And this is what
that's high praise.
Wait,
it's do it.
That's high praise. There you go.
It's
You have to do the delay though, where he goes, high praise.
High praise.
High praise.
It's really outstanding, and it's a hard science show. So like everything that you're watching, like they do their homework about like how this would really work, even from like the gravity boots that they wear to like how just the science of it. This is real sci-fi. I just made a post online today that got everybody riled up about like what is sci-fi and what's fantasy, and we labeled Star Wars fantasy, and people lost their mind. Sci-fi. Go check out my Facebook if you.
I've always called Star Wars fantasy too.
It is fantasy because you're right.
Much debate. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? We actually invited them to join the show. I have them here. Hang on one
Great.
second.
God, John,
Alright,
come
so
on.
what's
John Blackman.
Tell me about
Actually, John,
sci-fi over here.
actually,
Kyle.
John had my back, so. But
That was
no,
the
no,
voice.
but-
That was the voice I thought you did. So I was trying to.
But this is very much so and more of the line with Star Trek, where the show goes out of its way to go like, no, here's actual real applicable sciences to how this engine works or this reactor works or this thing works or whatever. But there are things that start happening in like the end of the first season, second season, that you start like seeing more sci-fi elements, maybe higher concepts of ideas of existence and philosophical ideas of why we're here and stuff like that. We start going into deeper of that stuff in the second season, and the show is better for it in every way, shape, or form, without abandoning its true science nature antics, which is like keeping up with like the true sciences of how like
That's
the
cool.
ships work and how this work and stuff like that. Everything is handled with such care, and I was telling Jeff that like things happen to characters that change them forever. There's actual stakes that like morph these characters into new beings, and they have to move forward with that trauma or that success or that whatever that changes them in ways that they're. When you go, if you go back and rewatch the show, you're going to be like, oh yeah, these guys all started as different people, And I'm only 2 seasons in, and these are all things that are apparent. So
How many are there together?
I think there's six. Yeah, 6 altogether. About 10
and, like, I
episodes.
think the last 2 seasons aired on Amazon because Amazon bought the rights from Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi gave up because it's a great show. Sci-Fi obviously gave up on them. So
yeah,
that's what as Sci-Fi does. I guess I should pronounce them Siffy because they insist on being spelled incorrectly. But they tend to kind of bail on shows that are really freaking amazing.
They probably got a bigger budget with Amazon, right? So.
Yes, they
did. Yeah, this is a beloved book series by the protege of J.R.R. Martin.
And they are following the books.
I hear they
heavily.
follow.
Like, if you look on the wiki,
yeah, I hear that they follow them very. That's very applicable to like what the books were and everything. So
and we're getting some
I'm telling you, like this is like it's been a long time since a show I was like, oh, this is like my favorite thing ever. like instantaneously, like
and
throughout
I understand
this
why
process of
people you're not the only one who did this the first time you tried to watch it. That mentioned that. They tried to watch the first season. They couldn't get into it because the stories are so not connected yet that you're kind of waiting for the payoff. And people just need to know that you should wait for the payoff. Like that's
really
this point. Yeah.
Dude, where I'm at right now, I'm screaming at my television. People are dying, and like it's just like it's one of those types of shows
show.
Where,
yeah.
Like there are stakes, guys. Things like.
There's a moment
that changed the very fabric of the show forever.
So because I'm so early on, there's one moment that stuck out to me, and I think it's in the second or third episode where like there's a railgun shot that happens, but they don't show the results of it until like several seconds after the shot, and it's like holy shit! Like it's
really hanging, hanging there.
That's
like,
the other thing is this show,
boom, and then you see all the crew reacting to what just happened before you see the results of what happened.
Yeah,
and it is just like amazing. Like it just.
That's the other thing is this show is shot really well. It's show ran very well. It's written very well. All the dialogue's really good. The characters are really good. This is not something
Thomas
where it's just
Jane is like I think the biggest name in the show.
Yeah,
yeah.
And what's his face from
leaves
Chernobyl
eventually, but yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I highly recommend it. Big time.
Well, you guys got me sold on it. All right. Well, I do need to move over to the Kahoot game as soon as we can because we're getting a crazy storm. I wouldn't be surprised if my power kicks at some point.
I'm not getting into the storm. I'm mad about that.
It's like
I just want to say I won't dwell on it. I saw Nope. I loved it. Maybe loved it more than most people. Loved it a lot. Thought it was awesome.
Nope.
I'm all about like the themes about the movie being about spectacle culture. Really resonated with me in a lot of ways of why like I love movies and love the movie industry. And it was like it's a movie lover's movie in my opinion.
Yeah. So. There's a lot of layers to that. And you mentioned
it's as deep.
You mentioned the Akira shout out that the movie gave.
The slide?
It's perfect. I think is it on Peacock yet? Is it there yet? I don't know. It might be there now. It will be soon, if not. So it is a Universal movie.
Everyone I feel like everyone loves a different Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah. I feel like most people have loved this one, but there are like a couple people that were like made it known that they're gonna make hating this movie their life story, basically. It's annoying as hell. And I
People
only
are
wanted to
annoying.
mention. I only wanted to mention the Apple whatever TV show Trying, because I know Tim watches that one too. And season 3 has just been so good. This show is just like so heartfelt and like just wholesome and like
Yeah,
charming.
great chemistry with the two leads.
And like it's like I watched it right after Rings of Power, and it just couldn't be a totally different show. Like it,
Yeah.
I was like crying in the finale. It was so good, man. Yeah, I just
Very
can't
well
recommend
done.
that show enough. Yeah,
Very well done show. It's not only is it funny and clever, but the two leads are just
Yeah.
their chemistry so
it makes
believable.
you like. It's a
So
kind
good.
of show that makes you. This is a huge stretch of a statement, but it kind of makes you like believe. Like this is a show about humanity, man. Like this is a show about everyday life, and it makes you believe that your friends and family would still be there for you. Like because there's a lot of
You need that
stories like
sometimes.
that. There's a lot of stories like that in the show where like it's about the goodness of human race instead of.
So it's like Game of
being
Thrones,
shitty.
but modern day a little bit.
Yeah, it's exact. I would compare it exactly to Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
hot-
yeah.
So
Okay.
like a lot of
Hot
incest,
beef,
is that what?
A lot- yeah. There's a lot of good people in that show. There's a lot
There's
of
a lot of good family
people.
members having sex with each other. Okay.
Yeah,
interesting.
That's
Just
nice.
good,
Hey,
just good
hold-
folks, you know, good old
They
folks.
got the
Hey,
reasons, bro.
hold
They
on,
got the
dude.
reasons.
Hold on there, dude.
Hold on.
Hold on there a
Whoa,
minute, dude.
whoa.
Good folks. All right.
God damn it.
Let's
Oh.
get to that Kahoot quiz, brother, because I'm gonna crush these guys. Yeah,
Dude,
dude.
there are
Hey,
some-
everybody! I'm actually the reigning champion of
You are the
Kahoot,
reigning
so-
champion.
Hold on,
Listen,
Mr.
there are
Macho
some-
Man.
There are some lightning strikes, I swear, just hitting our neighborhood. They're so close. There's so many. This is crazy.
I'm
Oh,
super
I hear-
surprised.
I
I
heard
heard
that one.
thunder. I heard
I heard
thunder.
that one.
Thor's coming for you, bro.
Yeah, it's hitting pretty hard. Like there was one that kind of shook my monitor for a second there, and I was like, that's probably not good.
Let's
Okay.
Kahoot it up.
Let's try to
hopefully-
Kahoot
hopefully
it.
that lightning didn't take out the Kahoot database or whatever the hell.
Find out. Let's find out. The
Database.
Kahoot is still up. All right, guys. So get your
And
devices
Dan?
ready.
Dan, you better be mature with your name, okay?
I
swear
mean,
to God.
that's not gonna happen.
Get your,
I'm
All
gonna
right, get your
try.
devices ready. I will share my screen. You guys have Kahoot.it open in your browser. Then let me share my screen here.
Kahoot it. Kahoot it.
All right. So if you're listening along, like we've done in the past, I'll try to make sure that I, read things out real
Yeah,
clearly.
if we answer it slow enough, I guess.
All right. So when I share my screen, there's like a little window on my monitor that shows like the little Skype window. Are you guys seeing like a gray box on the top right? Is it like, or anything that's blocked out on the top right? Or is it just purple?
Wait, say that again.
On the top right of my screen, flaccid Chad, ball smuggler.
You see what? Come on. Fuck off. Fuck off. Like that's bullshit.
He's
Hold on.
like, he's putting shit like pussy juice. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, what am I doing wrong? Come
I've
on,
never been
guys.
that. I've never been that foul.
I
Never
know,
that-
I know.
Dude, I'm sorry, but flaccid Chad is so
There we
fun.
go. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah,
Ticklish
baby.
Nifkin. Okay, here we go,
Flaccid
folks.
Chad
So
is
we've got
perfect.
flaccid Chad against ball smuggler against ticklish Nifkin. Here we go.
Tim, do you know what a Nifkin is?
No.
Probably something racist.
Me neither.
It is
No,
You're
the
the most racist
It
person
is
on.
the space between your asshole and your balls.
That's a
What?
chode.
That's a
That's a
chode,
Or a
sir.
grundle.
Sir,
Or a grundle.
You know
or a
what?
grundle.
We need to stop this game immediately and look this up. Figure
sir,
this out.
that
We
is a
need visual.
chode. I will not tolerate a change
I won't
in
tolerate
language.
any other word but chode. So
All right.
Chode.
Are
I
you
mean,
guys
grundle also exists.
Are you guys
I
ready?
reject that.
All right. So we're gonna go despite all the flaccid chatting happening in this chat right now. We are gonna move on.
Just flaccid everywhere.
All right, folks. So for the quiz this week, I found two properties that are very popular properties. Been around for a long time. A lot of entries in both these video game franchises, and I started to notice some similarities in the way that certain characters and movesets are named. It was a random moment where I was like, "Is that from Pokemon or is that Street Fighter?" So those are the two franchises,
Oh,
and this
jeez.
quiz is all Pokemon or Street Fighter. And
What?
so you're gonna pick between Pokemon and Street Fighter. You'll see what I'm saying as we
I'm
get into
so
it.
fucked. I am so.
I don't feel confident about this.
So here we go, guys.
feel
Pokemon
like I
or
should be.
Street Fighter?
I feel like I should be confident.
Number one is Hungaby the name of a Pokemon or a special move in Street Fighter? Hungaby.
Wait,
It's
neither?
Hungabe. Oh, why'd I go so fast?
Oh, damn it. Son of a B.
Hang on. That went really fast. Hang
It
on
did.
1 second.
It's like a third person didn't vote.
Yeah, I didn't even get it. Yeah.
Yeah. That might be a freebie. Let me see if did I set the time on that one weird by accident? Let me double check. Everyone pause. No one move.
No. No,
I
I
feel
get
like-
my point. I get my points for that one. Those
We go
guys are-
we go 10 seconds for 20 seconds for each usually. I think we go 20 seconds for each.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And-
that one was set to 5. I don't know why.
The Nifkin
Oh,
got
weird.
shafted.
Just
the
leave
Nifkin
that
got
be.
shafted.
I
No,
need those
absolutely
points.
not.
But you know what?
Absolutely
Now
not.
that I'm looking at this, the rest of them are 20 seconds, so it won't be a problem the rest of the way.
Okay.
Sorry about that one. Or it's going to be both or neither. Those are other options. Annoyingly, who
Yeah.
made this?
Yeah, that's I hope it's never either of those.
This is
All right, so
this
guys,
is some bull.
Flaccid Chad is in the lead. Here we go.
Reigning champ.
Number 2. Is Carablast the name of a Pokemon or an attack in Street Fighter? Karrablast. Carablast. Is it Pokemon, Street Fighter, both, or neither?
Damn, I was gonna say Pokemon too.
It is indeed Pokemon. By the way, that first one, sorry that we missed it. Hungabee. Did you guys, anyone get that one right?
I did.
Kyle did.
Street Fighter, right? Was that first one?
It was
was
Street
Some
Fighter, yeah.
flaccid guy got that one right. Last one.
All right.
Don't. It's a condition, guys. Come on.
All right, here we go. Number 3.
Medical condition.
G-Max moves are special attacks found in which franchise? Pokemon or Street Fighter, both or neither? G-Max moves.
Son of a.
Pokemon.
I thought it was a different letter. I am already failing. I'm failing
Yep.
miserably.
Ticklish Nifkin is getting Nifkined. All right, here we
How
go.
am I getting these
Nifty.
right? I don't know anything about either of these.
Pullum is a monster from Pokemon or a character from Street Fighter? Pullum.
I don't know.
Which is it?
I don't know about that,
Pokemon or
dude.
Street Fighter.
Brother,
I
I don't know about that one, brother.
Son of a bitch.
It is Street Fighter. A character from a Street Fighter named Pullum. Sounded like a Pokemon to me.
Who's Pullum? Who's
Kind
Pullum?
of like neither to me.
That might have been the one that got me thinking, like, that's not a Pokemon character? Like when I just saw that.
I knew it wasn't Pokemon. I can name all 1,000 and 2,600 Pokemon guys. I know. It wasn't
We
one
all
of
can, Kyle. We all can.
All right, here we go. Kongoken, Sazan, Hake, I don't know how to say these
God.
names, are monsters from Pokemon or special moves from Street Fighter. What are they? Are they moves in the Street Fighter games?
There we go.
They are
F you
indeed.
guys. F you guys in the A. Seriously.
They are. They are indeed from Street Fighter.
Nifkin, you mean?
All right, let's do a double check on the score here. It's been a couple rounds since I read it off. Flaccid Chad in the lead with 34.90. Ball Smuggler in second place with 18.75. And Ticklish Nifkin in third place with 8.94. Here we go. On to number 6. Halfway there. Dream Eater is the name of an attack from Pokemon or Street Fighter. Dream
Come on.
Eater.
Come on, guys.
That is Pokemon. Yes.
There's no way in hell I would know that because I'm not an 8-year-old boy. So I don't.
Oh, dude, you played a game called Tinykin. Okay, you need to chill out a little bit. All right.
All right. You know what? That one actually brings Ball Smuggler and Ticklish Nifkin into a much closer realm, although Flaccid Chad pulling away, as he usually does.
My Nifkin is coming for your balls there.
Darumaka is the name of a character or monster from. Is it
I don't.
Pokemon?
Who cares? Who cares is a correct
Damn it.
answer.
I got that
It
right.
is-
I've never heard of that.
It
Yeah.
is a Pokemon. It is a Pokemon.
Daramaka. No one knows who that is.
Well, it says character or monster, so it could be a person.
Okay.
All right, so no
that's true.
points that time. All right, we are on to question number 8. Here we go. Shadowgeist is a character or monster from Pokemon or Street Fighter. Shadowgeist. Street
Damn
Fighter.
it. Damn it.
At least I'm going to beat Dan. That's what I feel confident about at this point.
You just pulled ahead of Dan a little bit. We got
Yeah.
Flaccid Chad looking to retain that belt for, I think, the 3rd straight time if he wins this.
Well, let me tell you something.
Let me.
And Ball Smuggler with 2,800 and Ticklish Nifkin at 1,800. Here we go. 2 questions left. True or false? Spike Cannon is a special move in Pokemon, and Cannon Spike is a special move in Street Fighter. True or false?
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
It is true.
Why did I bite? Why did I think it was fucking
Why did I
bullshit?
bite?
Why
Why did I
did I
bite?
think this was tabloid nonsense? I don't
So
know
Cannon Spike is actually the main move by Cammy in the Street
Okay,
Fighter
sure.
games,
why. All right, sure.
and Spike Cannon is a move you can learn.
Sure,
in
sure, sure,
Pokemon.
sure, sure it is, sure it is, sure it is.
Guys, this makes the battle for second place compelling, although the battle for first place is done. Flaccid Chad has yet again defeated everyone
Clearly
around.
he has all the answers. Stop the count.
He's not looking very flaccid right now at the moment. He's
I've-
just.
He's a faker. Faker.
He's a great Chad. I walked in. I
I
said,
would
"Wow, what a
know.
great
I
Chad."
have
Every
issues
true
with my
champion is
wiener.
hated, so
Well,
you
how
know what?
would
I'm okay with this. I'm okay with all this.
All right, last one. Here we go. Junichi Masuda composed original music for Pokemon Fighter.
I didn't know that.
Thank God.
I didn't know that one.
Thank God.
Yep.
I got one.
All right, so let's see who won here in third place. Ticklish Nifkin with 30.
Suck it, Dan. I know more Pokemon Street Fighter than you.
Second place, just
Sure you do,
barely
Jeff.
with 3,800 is Ball Smuggler, and in first place, 7 out of 10.
Oh, what? My screen went black. I didn't see anything.
I'm
anybody in
sorry,
first
what?
place, so
What?
I assume I win.
Reigning
What?
champion? What? Get my rattlesnake belt.
It looks like the questions about Pullum, Darumaka. Those are the two. The Hungary one didn't count because that was a weird 5-second answer at the beginning. But
Well, should have
Pullum
got
and
those.
I got it right.
Darumaka,
I counted. I got it.
no one got those right. Those were the toughies.
I was
Well
cheating on
done.
the first one.
Well done, everybody. There you go. There's our Kahoot.
Such
You know what? The
cheaters
real
in this
victory
one.
here is I finally
oh,
got to
yeah.
get away with one of my names. So that's the real
True.
victory for me.
If you
The real
won,
victory
you
is
cheated.
winning again.
I'm the
That's
only
just
winner
your victory.
here.
I don't want to gloss over the real winning, which is the person who actually won, which was me.
So this is gonna sound like such a dad thing because it kind of is. As I'm trying to figure out, all right, what should I do for the next Kahoot quiz? I truly am thinking of each of the kids on the show here with me right now, trying to feel like what would they enjoy or what would be like up
Kids.
their alley a little bit. That's you guys.
The kids.
You guys are my kids. No,
Is
but
there a
as
kid behind
from-
me?
from the
Maybe
dad
he's-
perspective,
That's
it's
right,
like
he's right there. Yeah.
from the dad perspective, it's like you're doing an activity. You want to make sure that each kid is like, all right, how can we make sure that he doesn't get left out? And so like there is that thought. And so I was like, well, we did like actors in video games, I think.
You
And so-
did, yeah. You already gave me a what should have been a gimme.
And as I did this one, I was like, this is such a dumb idea. Whoever, I kind of wanted to do the original too. But I was like, Jeff's going to hate this. We're going to turn this on. He's going to be like, this is so
no,
dumb.
I mean I called
I
it
got
at the
second.
beginning.
It's
I
fine.
knew I would be screwed, but I got second because Dan is
Second
terrible.
Yeah,
Dan is the
obviously.
worst.
I
Dan
mean,
is
I was
terrible.
If you're not
cheated
first,
out of
you're
the
last.
first one, but
That's
If you're not
what
first, you're last. I think Jesus said that.
Aye.
actually.
you
I'm
did.
only first or last.
I was hot when I said that.
Car
All right.
radio.
We're all
Well, that
high.
is a good way to
I'll
wrap
never
up the
do my
show this
hands.
week. Lots of fun stuff to watch and to play. I'm going to be diving into the Expanse this week because that sounds too good to miss. So I'm excited for that.
Good, man.
Also looking forward to playing more Tinykin. I thought maybe that's something I would just play a little bit of, but man, it's too fun. And hearing Jeff talk about how it's not too long of a game, but it keeps getting even more fun to play, more charming.
I'm literally gonna log off and beat it after this. Yes.
You're gonna do what?
I'm obsessed now. I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna beat it.
Okay.
The game.
Okay, don't say
The
it,
game.
don't-
I'm gonna beat the game.
I do not like that.
It's not
ASMR.
anything else.
Ballsack is going to beat the game.
It's not anything else. I'm just gonna beat the game.
Ballsack's going to beat it.
Like how you're whispering.
I don't like that. It's
Kyle
Turn-
hates
It's
it.
the game, guys.
Turn off the ASMR right now. Turn it
oh,
off.
it's so off-putting.
Shut it down. Shut it.
All right,
shut
well,
it
I
down.
mean, we have an audience that might. I mean, fucking Gaston might be into ASMR too. I don't know.
Might be.
We
Well,
don't
you have
know.
to dress like a furry
listen,
first, and then.
Can I say this? I know we give Gaston a lot of crap, but listen, he is easily one of our most loyal listeners and loyal
Yes.
group posters out of those two things combined.
is.
Gaston,
He
you
is
the-
my Gaston.
lost-
You are
when
my
I-
favorite
listen.
listener.
you're the MVP,
when
buddy.
I crapped on Sonic last week, I lost sleep because I knew he would be back. I was like, I'm not even
tossing and-
kidding. I'm not.
tossing and turning,
like, I
like-
know it sounds like I'm being jokey, but I was just like, maybe I was a little mean. About
Look,
something.
man, I
And
wouldn't
know,
worry about
like,
it.
One of our main listeners is a big Sonic fan, and
I wouldn't worry about it because it did nothing to deflate his hype for Sonic Frontiers
No.
over like God of War Ragnarok. He's still gonna play that day
Hey,
one over
sure.
Ragnarok.
Gaston, can I just say, if that game rocks, I hope you give me crap about it forever. So,
Yeah.
There you go.
If it comes out like 10 out of 10
Yeah,
over Ragnarok or whatever.
dude, if it comes out 7 out of 10, you give me crap forever. I don't
That's
care.
right.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, well, no better way to wrap it up than giving Gaston his props. So thank you
Love you,
all for
bud.
listening, especially Gaston, but everybody else too. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.